August 1st. We made it to August. College football begins this month. We had live tackle football on our televisions last night. Yes, it was a Hall of Fame game. Yes, it was preseason.
Yes, it was awesome.
It was just good to see live tackle football on your TV screen.
Okay, it was an amazing game. I mean, all right, so let me just I watched the first half, and that was about it. As soon as the first half was over, I took the kids to bed and called it a night. But we, in an hour and 20 minutes of football, had a linebacker returning kickoffs. We had a fumble on the opening kickoff return. We had a drop by Dominic Lovett from Georgia on his first NFL receiving attempt.
That's one of your highlights?
Yeah. Well, no, it's just the norm. It's where we've been. Seen him drop a few balls last year. Not surprised to see him drop. He actually played a little better as the game went along. We saw Trey Lance. We saw Kyle Allen, former Aggie, 5th team in 5 years. And he threw 2 picks, but finished a little better. We saw Keandre Lambert-Smith catch a long, deep ball from Trey Lance. Like, we saw a lot of really interesting stuff last night. And we saw Amari Hampton have 3 or 4 carries.
Well, as Kamani Vidal had carried the load for the Chargers, 9 for 37, 2 touchdowns for the former Troy running back. Trey Lance looked great, 13 for 20, 2 touchdowns, 120 yards. Hendon Hooker in the game as well, 3 for 6, 18 yards a pick. Isaac Tesla, 2 catches, 46 yards. And maybe the best part of last night were some of the add-ons that we got. Tesla showing up for his interviews in Detroit with a Tesla jersey, Detroit Lions jersey.
How good was that?
It's bold.
He showed up with a Tesla Detroit Lions jersey that he wore as like a fan, like as a
kid. Before the draft.
Yes, before the
draft. Not
after
he had been drafted by the team, when he went to talk to the team about potentially wanting to draft him. That's bold, man.
I think it was great. Do you think Dan Campbell didn't love that?
Probably. Dan Campbell, yes. Some may not, but I can see Campbell saying, okay, I like this kid. He's got something to him.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to be one of us. Dan Campbell with literally he's talking to the sideline reporter before the game and he's like spitting out snuff.
It's just kind of par for the course, I think.
Oh my gosh.
What? That's just him. I mean,
Is that Triple H?
Yes.
Is that Bryson DeChambeau on the left?
I don't know who that is on the left.
That's Triple H, though.
Discussing the Canadian Prime Minister's tariff rate?
Yeah, tell me that wasn't Triple H.
No, that was him.
Okay.
It's absolutely him.
All right. Sorry.
I don't know if the president got distracted and went to a different topic, but
that could have happened. But all I know is
that's why he was initially there.
Anyways, Isaac Tesla. I had no idea he was a diehard Detroit Lions fan, but to show up at your visit with the Detroit Lions jersey, amazing. And you saw several pictures of him growing up as a Detroit Lions fan with like a Detroit Lions hoodie, all this other stuff. So pretty cool.
And of course we got, the comments from folks. I tweeted something about just being pumped that there was live tackle football on my television. It's preseason. I don't need it. I just want to know what you're watching instead. If you're not at least taking a peek for a couple series, just to see some of the guys, see how it looks. Hear some of the conversation. Musburger called about a quarter of the game. They just let him rip in the booth. It was beautiful.
Was Love Island on?
I have no idea. I don't even know what that is.
We established a couple weeks back that Love Island is a show that's like captured the world by storm. They have watch parties in Dallas. Remember?
Okay, got it.
I didn't know it was a thing either.
I haven't seen the tape on that. So
tighten up.
But it was live tackle football. So that to me was fun. I also got some interesting remarks from some people that I think were trying to call me out. One gentleman, the CFL's been playing since June, buddy. I had to give him the response. And the Elf League's been playing since May.
Yeah.
So if we're going to challenge who's been dialed into tackle football, hadn't seen you tweeting about the Elf, sir.
Yes, that's fair. CFL is fine. I got no problem with CFL.
His response: what? Tell me you don't love ball without telling me you don't love ball. That's all I got. If you haven't streamed an Elf League game, you might not love ball.
Yep.
Just telling you.
There you go.
If you hadn't gotten your Elf football updates and bad box score of the day on a weekly plus basis here on this show, you might not love ball. That's all I'm saying.
You think that's what it is? As simple as that?
Yeah. Not my fault.
Not your
Don't
problem.
try to call me out for my love of ball.
Yep. Sorry.
When you
for
don't even
loving
watch elf football.
Even I don't watch elf football. So it just
That's a
goes to show
problem
you
for this show.
how deep Cole's willing to go.
Okay. Well, some of us do love ball, and we're going to talk a lot about it today. Jake Rowe going to cover Georgia and what's happening early on in their practice for fall camp. I'm calling it fall camp. I don't care what Brian Haydad says. I don't care how hot it is. What's going on with the Bulldogs? What's the quarterback situation look like? He'll be with us in about 15 minutes. John Cohen, Auburn Athletic Director. You guys know what today is, right?
Today's August 1st.
It's allegedly a big day for a lot of folks.
Yes.
We've heard John Cohen's comments on that, so we'll ask him about it today. What's different? What happens today? What will change? And the Auburn AD will join us at 8 a.m. this morning to give us an update just on where things are in college football, where things are from an Auburn perspective as we head towards the season. We'll talk to Adam Smith at 9. Adam Smith first reported North Carolina to the SEC, or at least that there was some interest, or there was, I think, some investigating about UNC potentially getting to the Southeastern Conference. He'll give us some clarification there on where that situation stands. And then Norman Jetmanson's going to be with us at 9:20 this morning. So we got a busy day. We got a lot to get to, a lot to talk about. We did have live tackle football on TV last night, but now we'll move into sort of what we usually plan for, discuss here on the show each and every day, and that's obviously SEC football, Alabama, Auburn football. And one of the big additions at Alabama, GMAC, is Ryan Grubb. Ryan Grubb yesterday, a couple comments to the media. First asked about just kind of when this quarterback battle needs to be decided. So it doesn't sound like there's a definitive, and there usually isn't, Greg, even though a lot of people want it to be that way. A lot of people want it to be 11 days from the opener, 10 days from the opener. Name your guy. Have to name your guy. You're not going to name a guy if he's not ready to be named, if nobody's taking it. But I do feel like this will probably get done sooner than later in, I guess, the grand scheme of things. But either way, Ryan Grubb, not necessarily confident enough to say Ty Simpson is number one right now.
I don't know why you would. Doesn't do you any benefit to say that right now. You could say all the things he also said yesterday by basically beating around the bush and saying, well, he's done a great job. We're really pleased. He's done this. He's done that. We're in a great spot with how he's executing the offense and where he's progressed as a game manager and things like that. Like, that's basically what he said. So I feel great about some of the things he was saying yesterday. About the quarterback spot. He seems like he's real optimistic about what they got.
Well, why not let him compare all three of them and tell us his thoughts there? So there you go, Ryan Grubb on all three. And the command portion of that, Greg, is going to be directing traffic, managing things, getting guys to the line of scrimmage, getting into the right plays, right protections. And you would anticipate Ty Simpson will be ahead of everybody else doing that.
One would hope. If he's not, there's a problem. I mean, that is a real problem. If he can't get guys lined up at this point of his career, all right, what are we doing? So I would expect him to have a lead there. That is not really a surprise. I also don't think it's any indicator of what could happen in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So far out of Alabama camp, I've heard basically one thing that has stood out to me, and it's that Keelan Russell has spent most of his time with the 3s and 4s. Like, that to me is the thing that is most interesting to me. A lot of people have been saying, oh, he's got to get some time. He's got to get some time. He's got to get some time. It doesn't sound like he's quite ready to get that time yet. So it sounds like to me, if we're going to read between the lines of what Kalen DeBoer has said, It's something along the lines of right now it's a two-man race for the job, barring some unforeseen leap from Keelan Russell. It sounds like it's coming down to Ty and Austin Mack, at least for week one, because ultimately fall camp's about getting ready for week one, and then you can reassess as the season goes along.
So you were right. Drama. At David W. Hudson 11 tweets in at Mac and Cube. He quotes Nick Sortor. And he has a tweet. Breaking! 15 hours ago, President Trump just signed an executive order bringing back the presidential fitness test to public schools. Alongside him, Harrison Butker, Lawrence Taylor, Bryson DeChambeau.
Let's go.
Among countless other pros.
When I think fitness,
so you got a guy
golf.
that said he played NFL games on cocaine. You got the most roided up golfer we've ever seen. And a former WWE wrestler who's at least 75 pounds lighter than when he competed.
I'm trying to figure out the problem.
And a kicker.
And a kicker.
I don't know. I feel like a marathonist, an Ironman competitor, I would say CrossFit champion, but something. Those are your physical fitness tests in high school.
Seems like to me, those are not the most like
pillars of fitness.
Yeah, not the most like fit people.
See if I can recognize any of these other guys in there. Butker, DeChambeau. There's a few others back there that I don't know who they are. Here's what we need to do is we need to find out, Damien, what that is. I think I did this in middle school. So I don't exactly remember what it is, and I would like to know how the three of us would fare in that right now. We know Greg would smash it because he could go do a triathlon today, as he has stated on the show before.
Correct. By the way, I ran 5.5 miles yesterday, so I feel better about my triathlon spot.
All right, this is according to Google AI, so trust it how you will. The presidential fitness test, originally established in 1956, I bet it's right on board then with what everybody's doing today, included components like the 1 mile run, pull-ups or push-ups, sit-ups, shuttle run, and sit and reach. I would probably do better on sit and reach now than I did in sixth grade. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. The Presidential Youth Fitness Program in 2012 replaced it, shifted focus from standardized benchmarks to individual health improvements. However, a recent executive order has reestablished the presidential fitness test aiming to promote physical fitness among youth. Okay, here we go. The original presidential fitness test. 1 mile run.
Yeah.
Pull-ups.
How many, though? Does it say
or modified pull-ups for girls. See, I feel like today, that's all we've already run into a problem.
Yeah, we're already at a disadvantage.
The pull-ups are hard. That might be the hardest part.
Do you count a difference in chin-ups or pull-ups?
What's the difference? Chin-ups is just your grip.
Yeah, underhand grip. Because, like, I could go do probably 8 chin-ups right now. Pull-ups, maybe 3.
I feel much better about being able to do chin-ups because I think my biceps are
Why
probably
is it that
stronger.
different?
Because, like, pull-ups is straight back. Chin-ups, you get a lot more bicep that you can help with you.
I'll get on the row machine today.
I'm going to show them.
I'll do some shrugs. Sit-ups, shuttle run. What's our distance on that? I don't know.
Right, like
5, 10, 5.
5, 10, 5. Like,
300 shuttles, different animal.
Knock that out.
Yeah.
Sit and reach. Assesses flexibility, particularly in the lower back and hamstrings, which has never been a strength of mine. It says shuttle run tests speed and agility, so I would imagine that's a shorter version. Sit-ups evaluates abdominal strength and endurance.
So, till failure.
Pull-ups measures upper body strength and endurance. 1 mile run assesses cardiovascular endurance. Okay. How would we all fare is what I need to know right now. First off, the mile run's going to take me a long time. Greg would smash me there. Oh, so they're giving us a minute to do.
You can walk the mile.
I could probably speed walk it.
Street walking is kind of a beast.
All right, this represents the 85th percentile. So we're just going to go with 17-year-olds. This is essentially what should be getting done. No. Are curl-ups sit-ups? Okay, curl-ups must be sit-ups. 55 in a minute.
55
You're going to lock up before that. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you.
Yeah.
55 sit-ups is no way. It take too long.
Right.
Oh, it has
Just on levers.
It's kind of like the SEC depth chart or partial curl-ups.
So a crunch.
And they're going 66. Should happen there. Shuttle run, 8.7. Damien's got us there. Don't even know when the last time he attempted to change direction was, but I'm gonna let that happen.
Quick twitch.
Oh, this cannot be real. Sit and reach. The 85th percentile, I'm imagining that they're saying that this should be your average score in all these, plus 7 inches. What are we, gymnasts?
When are that? At what age?
Male cheerleaders?
Yeah, right. Like,
who's putting their fingers 7 inches past their toes?
I mean,
I think in my day I was probably 7 inches past.
Like Inspector Gadget doing this?
like that's. There must be some elite 17-year-old out here.
That's like
There's
an
a
inch
lot
or two down your wrist.
There's a lot of left tackles with like long arms, so linemen can do this, but it depends on length.
But it's a left tackle, so the gut's getting in the way.
No,
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
when
you
have
definitely
big-time
getting
left
55
tackle.
sit-ups.
There's some big time left tackles with no gut, home skillet. You know that, and I know that. Now guards, no shot. All barrel chested. You're literally, you got no shot. You better have a really, really limber top of your spine because that's the only shot you got. Centers.
What do you think
Arms too short.
the expected 1 mile run time is for 17-year-old boys in this?
It's like 10.
10? I'll just give you this. At age 6, the expected average time is 10:15.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they're expecting a 17-year-old to go out there and run a 4-minute mile.
6:06.
Wow.
Greg, could you hit a 6-minute mile right now?
Yes, but it would be hard. That would be. I would be able to give you 1 mile at 6 minutes. I could not go beyond that.
How many pull-ups do you think they expect a 17-year-old boy to do? By the way, I want to know how many nationally did this.
Right. Say 30.
No. 13. And I don't think 80% of high school boys 17 years old could do that.
See, I was thinking like if you're doing it like in a minute.
I think pull-ups is something in high school that you would have to be doing them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And most kids, I don't think that's something that recreationally they just go out and do, or even in their workouts that they do. Like how many sports ask for pull-ups in their team training? Like I'm pretty sure wrestling does like dips and pull-ups a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think baseball's doing a bunch of pull-ups. Football, we did some, but not a ton. I just don't think that's real.
I think that it's
you have to reach 3 levels, by the way, in all 5 events to qualify for the National Physical Fitness Award.
Okay.
Now I guess that's 85th percentile. So that's
The elite.
That's elite. I don't know if it's, but yeah, the 50th percentile would be a 7:04 mile, 8 pull-ups. I'm sorry, there was an or on the depth chart that I missed. Or 37 right angle push-ups.
Right angle means you got to get your elbows to 90-degree angle.
As opposed to like obtuse push-ups?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, you repping them things out.
I mean, I would personally like to go acute push-ups. That's how deep I'm getting.
Flexed arm hang? Pardon me?
The flexed arm hang makes no sense.
Is that just the beginning of a pull-up?
Right.
Like, nah, you just got to get the process started and that counts for one?
That is puzzling.
A plus 3 inches on the sit and reach. So they're telling us half the 17-year-old boys in America can put their hands in a seated position 3 inches past their toes. I'm not buying that either. 9.4 shuttle run. I have to get the diameters on the shuttle run. I don't know. Or in 44 sit-ups in a minute.
44 in a minute.
I might put my kids through this today just to see our scores.
Just don't do it, dude.
You're not even 50th percentile. We got work to do. We got work to do.
Don't do it.
Meet me in the backyard, 7 a.m.
Don't do it.
Don't be staying up late watching that Dude Perfect. 7 a.m. We got practice.
Dude
We're
Perfect.
talking about practice. So there you go. Are you physically fit via the president? We just laid it out for you. Go test yourself today. See how it works. Send us your videos in of you participating in the presidential physical fitness test. We want to see that.
I actually don't think you need to send us videos.
Oh yeah, tweet them in. We want to see those.
No, because when we bear responsibility if something bad happens,
Pulled
I'm going
hamstring.
to stay out of this completely. I have too many friends that are lawyers. This feels dangerous.
This is just a suggestion. It's not a demand.
I feel like I have friends on every
I'm not
side of
telling
this
everybody what to
equation
do.
too. Like I have friends that are defense lawyers. I have friends that are plaintiffs' attorneys. I have friends that are judges. Like I feel like we're going to get hit every which way if we dare people to go do the presidential fitness
There's
test.
no dare. Just if you decide to do this,
You're
show it to
asking.
us.
You are
It's a
activating
mild
people.
suggestion. Let me ask you this though: what's the worst injury that can come of this?
Death.
How? Oh, running a mile.
I don't know if that's an injury, but
I'll go.
I'd say
I'll
it's
go
a tough
back
one to
to.
bounce back from. You're not hurt
yeah.
there. You're injured.
that's true.
You're technically past that.
No.
Whatever's next in line. But as Rick Trickett always told me, you'll pass out before you die.
So yeah,
It might be 3 seconds before, but pretty sure you will. I was going to go Achilles, but Greg had to do that to us this morning. Not sure we're going to bounce back from that one. We'll try next with Jake Rowe talking Georgia football. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Maybe I won't be as injury adverse, but you can tweet in how you think you would do. Johnny Jackson tweets in, is there a vice president program for old people? It's a fair question, I feel like.
100%.
Once you get past a certain age.
You get to move up a T?
Yeah, you get essentially, yeah, the same thing. Yeah, it goes down to like minus 3 inches on your reach. And
I think based on how things have trended, if you said it's 17, you're supposed to be plus 7, correct?
Yes.
So I think if it's 17, you're plus 7, every 5 years, it should like reduce by at least 2 inches.
So
plus
you'd be
7
good. Yeah.
at 17,
I
plus
can't do that
5
math.
at 22, plus 3 at 27, plus 1 at 32, minus 1 at 37.
So
Which is probably about where I'm at.
So 42 would be minus 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think that feels good.
Yeah. I thought you were going to be way out of bounds there, and that was going to be too much, but I think that's actually fair. I like that.
That feels about right.
Yeah. I think
Hang on, can we try it real quick?
The reach?
Yeah.
Go for it. Let's see where you are.
I kind of am curious.
You have to do it up on the table, though, so YouTube can see.
Not on the table.
He's not going to do it on the table. He's going to sit and see on the V sit. You're a 0.
I'm at 0, but that's right out of the gate, out of a chair. I think with a proper calisthenic warm up.
Calisthenic warm up.
Kinetic warm up.
Yeah.
Johnny, your next question of the show is hilarious, but I'm going to steer away from it.
You're going to avoid?
I just don't need that in my life. I know what comes with that, and it's just not for today. It's Friday. I'm trying to enjoy my day. Don't need what comes with it. I'm not sure that in my life I have been able to sit and reach and touch my toes.
Really?
No. Hamstring tightness, flexibility has been rough for me.
I really believe that flexibility is a little genetic, seriously. Like, I think it has to do with your muscle tissue, and like, could you have worked on it as a young kid and like maybe have a little better flexibility now? Perhaps, but like, I really believe that.
No, but I actually, for the first time in my life, for the last probably 6 months, I've been working on it, and like I said, I think it's better than ever. Like, I know I can stand.
You can definitely work on it, but I think those that are like inherently flexible, like I'll never forget this. Remember Jamarcus Webb?
Yes.
Jamarcus Webb was an offensive tackle, went to Texas originally, ended up at a smaller school, but then played for the Bears. I remember sitting there at Nike camp one time, and Jamarcus Webb literally had his arm, he's 6'7", had his arms hanging over his feet like this and his toes touching his wrists. And I'd never seen a big boy do that. You know what I mean? I mean, just a big guy. And that like stuck in my mind. Like, if that guy's that flexible, like, oh my gosh, these guys up there in college football are just insane. But really was amazed by. I believe though that like fascia buildup and muscle tissue and muscle makeup, like all of our muscles are a little bit different. I think there is some little bit of like genetic inherent advantages that some people's muscles have towards being flexible.
I can tell you right now that my
of course that's just an excuse.
No, but it's real though. But
that's my excuse.
Because my 8-year-old's gonna have it because my wife is like super flexible. Like the other couple weekends ago, whenever he had his last baseball game, he was playing first, and there's a ball in the dirt, and he reached out to scoop it. And I mean, he might as well been doing like a straight splits. And I was just like, wow, impressive. Dad could have never done that. Dad could have never gotten out that far. So I do think some of it's genetic, but I also don't think there's people at a young age that are emphasizing it as how consistent you need to be with it for it to actually make a difference. Like, nobody ever told me. I mean, there's a lot of people that maybe said, "How you need to get flexible, you need to stretch." I don't think that's at 13 or 10 or 15 how you need to hear. Like, there needs to be a plan put in place.
Don't disagree.
And there's not a lot of emphasis put on it.
There is not.
So
I will also say that flexibility is super, super challenging if you have none of it to start from the beginning is very difficult. I would imagine it's comparable as a 42-year-old man that has just started to emphasize flexibility for the first time in his life. It would be comparable to you trying to just all of a sudden learn how to become you picking up a golf club for the first time at 42.
That's not going well.
Like you're starting from scratch. Like that's almost impossible. Right. I give you a golf club at 7, you're going to figure it out pretty quickly.
Sure.
Like your body is just naturally going to grow into the game. I don't think that it's going to be very easy for you to do anything from a flexibility standpoint if you don't start young. So I don't think our kids will be super flexible.
Justin Pace tweets in at Mac and Cube, I'm 46 and haven't done 13 pull-ups in my life. Well, if you've never been asked, and they just brought this back, so no one was making him go out there in PE or recess to try to make him do it. So maybe if you got it there today and tried, you'd just knock them out.
There you go.
It would just go.
I think you could do it.
You can knock out the hot weather with a Train Home Comfort System. Keep your family comfortable with an affordable Train cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jox. Find a comfort specialist near you at Train.com. It's hard to stop a train. We'll continue trying to get in touch with Jake Rowe, talk some Georgia football when we come back right here on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:35 a.m. Friday, August 1st. You can tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. Higginbotham hotline open, 800-239-9569. We'll continue to try to get Jake Rowe on the show. If not, we'll just talk presidential fitness test. Pete Moss tweeting in, pull-ups, sit-ups. I just opened up a new cellophane bag in the cereal box with my bare hands. I need a nap.
I got to be honest with you. Is sit-ups really is that a tough thing? I would struggle. I would struggle with the pull-ups. I'll be the first to admit. I'm 225 pounds. Like, I would struggle with that.
But if it was chin-ups, I think I could crush.
I could do chin-ups, I think. I feel like I could get the chin-ups in. I think I can get 10 chin-ups. Probably. I weigh too much to be a good pull-up guy. I just do. But I can tell you this. Sit-ups, as many as you need. Like, you want to do a plank? As long as you need.
Yeah, but the other part of this is in a minute, like, you're going to start to crank. You're going to lock up. I mean...
I don't know. But dude, so much of my workout for so long was just core, like core, rotation, core. Like abs have just never been a problem.
Driver, sandwich, seven arm, driver, rotation, swing.
Throw,
slice,
pitch,
slice,
throw, handoff.
Draw, slice, pitching wedge.
Draw, slice. Good friend.
The Hipster tweets in, I'm glad the presidential fitness stuff is being reinstated. It was a mistake to end it. Go look at all the fat kids, K through 12, then factor in how many will have type 2 diabetes and heart disease and being obese at 40. They need more activity. If I'm not mistaken, though, at most schools, you don't even have to do PE anymore. So will they even go out to attempt this? I don't know. I don't know exactly how that works. I do know we have Jake Rowe on the phones now. I'm going to talk Georgia practice that is now underway. Jake, what has been Kirby's sort of message to the team? A lot of times we can read through the lines and see the one or two things that he really wants to drive home to his team. Have you been able to identify what that or those are going to be so far?
Yeah, we've kind of got running into a new mantra this year, which is fire, passion, and energy. It's funny that, kind of saw the same thing out of Kenny Dillingham in a little press conference I watched from here. I watched on him yesterday. But yeah, Kirby wants, you're in the NIL area and you got this, you're kind of fighting against all of the different newness that's in college football, the rev share and all of that stuff. And I think one thing that Kirby noticed from last year's team was that it just wasn't quite there from a fire, passion, and energy standpoint, at least in the way they prepared. And that's something he's hammered home ever since the spring. I mean, they've broken out different guardian shields, colored guardian shields to kind of point out the guys that are kind of meeting that standard. And they've got a lot of really good players. They've got a lot of talent, a lot of young talent. But I think the thing that Kirby's focused most on right now is just making sure that this team prepares and improves enthusiastically. And that's just a big part of it for him. And I can see where that comes from, and I can understand how, that lacking in the preparation point was probably why they struggled as much as they did last year. They won a lot of games, but it was a slog all year long.
Oh, so now they've gone from no guardian caps to you get a different colored guardian cap if you're doing what you're doing right. I just want to make sure we're on the same page there. I heard that correctly?
That's what it sounds like. Yeah,
all right.
They like to highlight and kind of the spring they kind of highlighted the guys that were doing it the right way and trying to add that extra incentive to bring it every day, to bring the juice. I
love it. You got to do what you got to do. Feel like Georgia was maybe the last team to adopt the guardian caps. Wow. I didn't know that they were doing that. That's great.
Greg hates guardian caps, so this is struggle. He's going to struggle with this.
I struggle with that. I get it. I understand.
I feel like I need a guardian cap in my everyday life.
I don't disagree. As someone that literally went to the bathroom the other night and fainted in the middle of the night and almost broke his face off, I understand the challenges, but. Moving on to the offensive identity. I continue to struggle a little bit. Cole is on the other side of the equation here. I struggle with the offensive line this year. I think their weapons are fantastic. I think Stockton's going to be really good, especially adding some quarterback run elements, a little like Riley Leonard from Notre Dame last year. I think defensively they're going to be really good. Not concerned about that side of the ball at all. Offensive line is my biggest holdup towards putting this team at number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 in the country. How confident are you in that group up front?
Here's the deal. I can see where both of you are coming from. And I'm caught in between on that. And I try not to be a fence rider on this stuff. But I saw what I saw last year. And then listen, when you lose when you get 6, 7 of your top 9 guys injured in a season, like I don't care who you are, you're not going to go into a season with 12 guys prepared to play big minutes on your offensive line. It's just nobody does that, especially in the era we're dealing with now. And Georgia had a lot of injuries last year, so I get that. But I also saw them step up and play really well in moments that were kind of like, well, why can't you extrapolate this over a longer period of time? They replaced a lot of guys, but they still bring back a ton of experience. Monroe Freeling has played at a high level, not 20 games at a high level, but he's shown that he can play at a high level. Ernest Green has shown that he's playing at a high level. The one thing that gives me confidence in Georgia's offensive line is I was told this spring that Ernest Green made that move from left tackle to right tackle. And I think if we're being honest with ourselves, he's probably going to play a long time at guard. If he plays a long time in this game, it's probably going to be guard, but he's still a very good tackle. Jamari Sawyer was the same way. So moving to right tackle, because of circumstance and the way everything went down starting in 2023, he never really got a chance to play on the right side. They had to get him ready to play left tackle. Moving over to the right, he's kind of found a home. And I think that they're going to be better at right tackle than they were last year. I think they'll be, as a result, with Monroe Freeling kind of working there full time, super talented guy, I think they're going to be better at left tackle. So then you move to the interior. Listen, it's time to step up for Micah Morris. They ran him out there first day to us yesterday to talk to him. So obviously they feel good about him. He hasn't started a ton of games, but he's played a lot of snaps, and he's one of the most talented players on the roster. And it's his 5th year for him. It's time to put it on the field. Drew Bobo with a couple of starts there, and they're kind of looking for right guard. So they have to replace 4 offensive linemen, but 4 of the positions are pretty much already settled. And so I definitely like the potential of this offensive line. Certainly like the potential of this offensive line if Georgia can kind of get some diversity in the run game and kind of increase that. And I think they can make some things easier on their offensive linemen. The addition of Phil Rauscher, 16-year NFL veteran, was something that was praised heavily yesterday by players and Kirby, the assets, John Lilly coming back as well to work the run game. So there are some things I really do like, but the thing that gives me optimism is I feel confident that Georgia will be better at the tackle positions this year, provided they can stay relatively healthy, which was a god-awful problem last year.
Jake Rowe with us on the Higginbotham Hotline talking Georgia football. I'm interested in your thoughts just on where quarterback is, because Greg automatically went Stockton, which I would agree with, but I'll go back to the Regions Golf Tournament we had Kirby on. When Greg asked him about Stockton, he immediately went Puglisi. And then at media days, it was almost like he didn't really want to talk much about Puglisi. It was just about Stockton. So is it just Gunnar Stockton right now?
Yeah, Gunner's got a big lead on this job. And, I mean, listen, I think Ryan Puglisi is a very talented guy. And the thing I think is underrated, and Greg probably feels this too. I mean, I remember when Greg hopped the sideline on one foot in the SEC championship game. Greg was an athlete. People didn't really talk about it a whole lot. But, Puglisi kind of has that same thing. Like he's a very good athlete, and he's an explosive leaper. I mean, he can run. And so I think that the total package there with Puglisi gives him a chance at any point to overtake just about anybody in front of him. He's that gifted. I remember talking with Georgia's director of player personnel when they had Puglisi in as a rising junior to throw on their campus. He was like, man, we got to shut this kid down. He's going to hurt somebody. Like he was just putting it on guys in the 7-on-7s. They had no helmets or anything like that, hitting people in the face. So he's really talented. He's not.
Did you just say that they were worried about a quarterback hurting his receivers by throwing to him in 7-on-7?
Yeah, that's precisely what Matt Godwin says. This kid's going to hurt somebody because he's got a big arm like that. And so they when you look at that, I do think he has the raw talent to overtake Gunner at some point, especially if Gunner struggles. But it's going to be well into the season before they're going to need to see plenty of that. I mean, we saw Carson Beck go through struggle after struggle last year. Georgia never considered making the change. They're going to be slow to the trigger there when it comes to that. But I think Puglisi has a chance in time, but there's nobody going to start game 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way in October for Georgia but Gunnar Stockton if he's healthy.
Jake, we appreciate the time, man. Do you have one more, Greg?
Yeah, one more. quickly, the other position I'm just a little bit curious about is pass rusher. I know Eli Mendoza, Cole's super high on him. I watched some last year, and it feels like he's got the juice. Feels like Georgia's trying to kind of keep him a secret. But beyond him, what else do we like about their pass rushers on the edge?
A name that I'll throw out there, and he's a 5-star prospect, but it doesn't seem like he gets much pub, is Joseph Jonah Ajonye. He's 18 years old. He played last season at 17 years old. But he is, I mean, this is a 6'4", 6'5", 270-pound kid that's twitched up. I mean, I saw him yesterday, and I'm like, man, this guy looks like he's been in the NFL for a few years. I mean, he is really put together. He's a fantastic player, unreal motor. I think that's the guy to look at. I think he gives Georgia an element of that position. Outside of him, I mean, I think Glenn Schumann's going to kind of have to figure it out and work on an interior rush more than anything, because Georgia has a lot of talent at edge, but it's young. And they signed 3 of the top 10 edges in the country in the 2025 class. And I think in time those guys are going to get there, but I think early on they're going to have to manufacture a rush and lean on Mendoza and lean on Joseph Jonah, Ajonye, and maybe Gabe Harris as well. You know, he's shown the ability to be a havoc player as well. So they're not as deep at that as they've been. But you know, Kirby's defense and Shoe's defenses haven't really stacked the sacks and tackles for loss up on one guy either.
What's Gabe Harris weighing now? Because it's, you know, he looked like an edge guy, and then they bulk him up and he plays down inside some and looks out of place there. I love the kid. I just don't know where he's going to live.
Yeah, they've had to yo-yo him a little bit. It probably hasn't been the best thing for his career personally, but they've kind of needed to do it the way they've needed to do it. You know, it kind of takes what it takes type deal. And, you know, Gabe, to me, I watched him yesterday work with the outside backers. I would say probably in that 260 to 265-pound range. He's going to be kind of a hybrid defensive end, you know, kind of in a Michael Williams type role. You know, sometimes being a 2-point stance, probably play a lot in a 3 with his hand on the ground. And, you know, he plays some 5-tech and some wide 9, you know, in true pass rush situations. But, you know, he's a very good player and has a nose for kind of getting into the backfield. So I think he'll be more of a true edge this year than kind of playing that 4-eye and being inside the tackle.
Jay, great stuff, man. Really appreciate the time. Always good catching up. Let's do it again soon.
All right, bud. Y'all take care.
I forgot to ask Jake if he thinks he could pass the president's physical fitness exam. I do want to thank Jake, though, for pointing out something we've known for a long time, that a certain coach was concerned about the other players being injured by a quarterback throwing to them in 7-on-7. Yes, receivers are soft. There you go. That is now confirmed.
I mean, you don't want, you absolutely don't want.
Where's your biggest problem there if a coach says, guys, we got to stop this quarterback's going to hurt people and throw into them?
I'm a little more concerned about the incentivized guardian caps than I am the guy getting hurt and 7-on-7. 7-on-7 dislocated fingers happen. That's not fun. Like in all seriousness, that's not fun.
Here we go.
It does happen. I've seen it. Even guys with
people pass out at night and hit their face on their dresser like that happen. I'm not, you're not going to have, every man needs to go to sleep with the guardian cap on now tonight.
I might start. Well, when I have to go to the restroom in the middle of the night, I'm gonna put my guardian cap on before I go.
All right, so I'm gonna give you some time to think about this. When we come back from the break, Greg McElroy will answer this question now that you know that they have challenges for colors of guardian caps that they will wear, and that's incentivized. Where did you have Georgia finishing, and where do you have Georgia finishing now? Next on Mac and Cube in the morning. Damien, how long would it take you to get the clip of Greg and Jake's back and forth on Guardian Caps?
Give me about a minute and a half.
Okay, we'll get back to that here in just a moment. Greg McElroy taken off guard. We will ask him in just a moment, where did you have Georgia finishing before that segment? Where would you have Georgia finishing now? Before we get to that, I'll tell you about Game Day Men's Health. If you feel like you're finishing last because of your health, if that's not getting proper sleep, feeling on edge, you lack energy, Game Day Men's Health wants to help you. Maybe you need to drop a few pounds. They have multiple ways that they can help you with that at Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. Here's what you do. You're going to get a free consultation. That comes with a free PSA test, free testosterone test, and then they'll lay out where you are. Say, this is what we think you need. This is how we can help you. These are the multiple ways we can help you. And you can save 10% on any of those programs by mentioning Mac and Cube when you walk in the front door. So take advantage of free consultation, PSA test, testosterone test, and then see what they can do. They've got peptides in stock that can help you with anti-aging, sleep, energy, different things. Your body stops making those over time, and they can get those back going again. Holistic approach to health and wellness, great people, no stress atmosphere, locker room environment. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Go sign up and take advantage today. All right, so when we come back at 8 o'clock, John Cohen, Auburn Athletic Director, with us today, August 1st. We've heard him say it's a big day. Things are going to start to change now. We also have heard Greg McElroy be completely baffled by Georgia's not only use of Guardian Caps, but competitions for different colors of them. This was our exchange with Jake Rowe from earlier on the show. All right, we'll get to we don't have enough time to get into the fainted portion either. We'll maybe do that after John Cohen.
There's not much to explain. I've literally
No, there's a portion of it that needs to be actually want feedback on to see if it's as common as you think it is.
It's more common than you think. I know multiple everyone that's like, what happened to your face? I'm like, I fainted in the middle of the night.
Well, if two people happened, it would be more common to me. I had never heard of that and some of the reasons that you gave with it. So, yeah, we'll have that conversation. We can't do it now. We're running out of time. John Cohen's going to be with us next. But if you feel like you're running out of time in your current home, want to get into a new home, Gusty Goulas and the Gusty Goulas Group can help you today. Call 205-542-1996. They're brokered by eXp Realty. Serve more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area, so they're going to know what's available and, most importantly, what's coming available. And if you want to know what they think your home's worth, go to GustyGoulsGroup.com today. Button at the top right corner of the page. Smash that. Very little information that'll tell you what they think your home's worth. It's that easy with the Gusty Goulas Group. Over 850 5-star Google reviews. So just search Gusty Goulas Group online and see what people are saying. The Gusty Goulas Group, call 205-542-1996 or visit GustyGoulasGroup.com today and start packing. We will talk more Alabama camp, hear more from Ryan Grubb. And when we come back, we'll talk to Auburn Athletic Director John Cohen next right here on Jox. Welcome back in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. John Cohen, Auburn Athletic Director, coming up here in just a moment. It's 8 a.m., hour number 2 underway, first day of August. Listen online, joxfm.com. Better tell your home speaker, enable the Jox skill, or just watch us live on YouTube each and every morning.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year, the national champion of GMC dealers, and it's amazing the deals that you can get when you just take the short drive up to Coleman, I-65 exit 310, and you check out the $5,000 you could save on a Buick Encore GX, economical sporty SUV. You also save a bunch of money on a GMC Sierra SLT. You can save $14,000 off that sticker price down to $53,000 when it was $67,000. It's deals like that keep people coming back. That's why 75% of their business repeat customers. That's because you have a better experience when you shop with Bill Smith. I've been a repeat customer. I think you guys will be as well. It's just an amazing experience when you work with Jonathan Yeager, when you work with Andy Cole. My car's actually in service up there right now. I know they're taking great care of it. It's just first class all the way around. That's why they're GMC's national champion for the last 5 years. Take the short drive up to Coleman. You can also shop online. Have it delivered right to your driveway at Bill Smith Buick, GMC.com.
Auburn Athletic Director John Cohen joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline. Some of you who may not know, John played college baseball and coached college baseball, not just an athletic director. So, John, we were discussing last segment some of the things that different coaches do trying to motivate their teams. Like Kirby Smart is giving his players different color guardian caps when they are successful in certain practices. Greg and I then made fun of our coaches when we were in college, how you had to earn your helmet logos in practice. You started with no logos on your helmet. What was the dumbest thing you made your team do to try to earn something when you were a college baseball coach?
Well, this is probably really dumb, Cole, but we had years where we wouldn't give absolutely no gear to our student athletes. When I was at Mississippi State in Kentucky, we gave them no gear that said Kentucky or Mississippi State on it until they earned it in fall practice. They had to earn each piece of equipment, whether it was a batting glove or a T-shirt or shorts. So
you should have thrown glove in there, made him play third base barehand.
Yeah, they literally looked like an inter squad, intramural team when they took the field, because my point to them was, you're not going to put our name on your chest until you earn it. And the coaches do the same thing. And bit by bit, by the end of the fall, the kids who had, were fully outfitted are the kids who had earned it. And the ones who hadn't didn't earn it. And so there was something on the line every single day.
You get socks today, son. Great work.
One sock.
You keep working like that, you'll get stirrups next. All right, let's go. John, it's a big day, August 1st. You have been outspoken about the importance of this date when it comes to the recruiting trail. Help us understand how today is now going to be different going forward, and what's changed from yesterday and really the last 6, 7, 8 months to today when things kind of open up a bit for you.
Yeah, sure. Hey, today is the first day you can provide a written offer, at least if we're still abiding by that set of rules. Who knows if we're, what rules we're abiding by today or tomorrow, but it was our understanding that the way it was presented to us in the Southeastern Conference, that August 1st is the first day you could provide a written offer to a prospective student athlete. And the reason I feel like this is significant, and maybe I'm overselling it because maybe the whole world's already providing written offers illegally, and maybe we're going to enforce it, maybe we're not, who knows. I do know that the CSC now has a 3-man crew working, which, for 70 Power 5 schools, Power 4 schools, whatever. And again, I'm not making light of this, but this is our daily world. We're trying to abide by rules. We're trying to treat it with the utmost seriousness. And we know that there are others out there in the world who are not. So, maybe we have to pivot and play by, the other rules. But it was explained to us that August 1st, the first day you could have a written offer. And the reason that's significant to us is anything that we're being told orally, from a recruit or their agent or their parents, it's logical that we'd say, hey, can we see that in writing? And now we can see that in writing. And now you can be a little bit more competitive. So in terms of offers and things of that nature. So That's why we feel like this is a pretty significant day. And guys, I'm going to say this, in the world of recruiting, you guys understand this better than anybody. We're a long, long way from December at this point.
Crazy long. I mean, might as well be, and the amount of flips we see at the last minute, and everyone's kind of gauging the portal and all this other stuff. But you mentioned the College Sports Commission, and I like Brian Seeley based on his background. I think he's got the right chops, and I think we resemble baseball in a lot of ways, where some organizations have more resources, more access to resources than others. So I think he's the right man for the job. But and it said the CSC is kind of relaxing things. That was a story that was out the last couple days. They're relaxing their guidelines. What does that mean? And what exactly is the CSC, the College Sports Commission, charged to do right now when it comes to enforcing some of these recruiting rules?
Well, they are going to be the enforcement arm, and they're not fully up and running yet. And again, I am a believer in what we are all trying to do until it is proven to me that it can't work. And once it is proven to me that it can't work, we really, all of us who compete at a very high level, have to pivot. And I believe in Brian Seeley as well. I know his experience in baseball. And quite frankly, this is a guy who has been really familiar with a collective bargaining agreement through Major League Baseball. So he is a guy who has seen all angles of what is trying to be done. I'm just very hopeful that, and you're absolutely right, the new guidance basically says essentially that they can get back in the game. The collectives can get back in the game, and that was kind of the purpose of everything we were trying to do in the beginning. Is the collectives are great people who have worked very, very hard for a lot of different schools, but essentially we all know the system that they were providing opportunities for student athletes, and kind of a manner in which it was very simplistic and opportunistic. And at this point in time, we're just convinced that they wouldn't play as big a role. And now with the guidance we just got, obviously that's not going to be the case. They're going to play a huge role.
John Cohen, Auburn Athletic Director, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You guys have made some new hires recently to help sort of in the administration part of your college football program. Within those hires, and then once things start to run and be managed, we had a listener give us a hypothetical yesterday of, what if the coach went to the AD and said, hey, I know we only have this much money, but we need this much more to keep these two guys, or they're telling me they're going to leave, to which I just kind of said, well, that's not really the AD's job. The AD says, this is our allotment for football. You guys manage it and take it where you need to go by position. What are the conversations like in this new world of college football between you, the new administration portion of college football, and the coaching staff?
Well, we hired Jared Binko, who's the athletic director at Georgia Southern, and Jared has done an incredible job along with Brett Whitesides. We have an entire staff of people we've hired to oversee not only our cap, but our activity as well with third-party opportunities for our student athletes. And quite frankly, based on what you just mentioned about collectives and new guidance, we're going to be super aggressive in that area with third parties. So there is no limit with third parties. Let's go through NIL Go, and we're going to get super aggressive in that area. So when you're talking about caps, that's critically important. You don't want to go over your cap. You want to make sure you get the best use of your cap. But if there's unlimited third-party opportunities, and again, they have to be approved through NIL Go, we're going to jump heavily into that area as well.
How was how are the I know it's unlimited third party, but it has to be, quote, authentic, right, for fair market value. How is that policed?
That's a great question, and I'm not sure I can answer that right now.
Yeah.
We do know that specifically whomever is hiring a student athlete for a marketing opportunity or a name, image, and likeness third-party opportunity, they have to prove that they are making a profit of some kind. So I think that's policed, and I think it's policed in the fact that it has to go through a process with NIL Go.
John Cohen, Auburn AD, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. I want to move a little bit ahead of that portion of it, and I'd love to get your thoughts on just kind of where you think the football team, not necessarily program in general, but just this year's team, because you look at it from a different lens. You have to look at it from your administrative lens, but I'm sure you observe things with your coaching eye also. Some new players that we're expecting a lot of, and a lot of people are expecting a lot of. Obviously, Coach Freeze has had success at multiple stops in his tenure. What have you noticed about this team? Short duration of practice this fall, but guys have been there, obviously, through summer and further back. What have you noticed? What have you seen just about how this team has been handled and handled themselves so far?
Well, I love what I've seen with the maturity of this group. We're obviously, I mean, the obvious thing is we're bigger, stronger, faster. We are bigger, stronger, faster than we've been in the past. We're coming off the heels of 2 top 10 ranked classes. Those kids have had a chance to grow up a little bit. And, you know, it's you can see that. You see the wide receivers work out. You see a very talented group there. You see a much matured, more physical, more active with hands and feet offensive line. You see much more depth in the defensive line, and you know, our defensive backs, you know, are pretty impressive too. We're excited about that group of safeties and corners. I'm very impressed with what I've seen. Look, we have a very difficult schedule. Almost everybody in the SEC has a difficult schedule, but you know, we play Baylor right from the get-go. But I think this team is better than what people are giving, you know, credit for. But you know what? You got to go out and earn that. So it's an exciting time of year, and you watch these athletes run around that field and realize that all of a sudden, in 2 short years, Coach Freeze and his staff put together a team that resembles an upper-level SEC football team.
As you look at how the roster's been crafted, and it felt like there was a heavy emphasis on high school, and this year is really intentional transfers that they targeted, high-level transfers that improve that specific position group they were transferred in to help. I feel like they've improved at every position. I really believe that. Is that a fair assessment with how Hugh kind of tried to piece the roster together?
Yeah, and I don't think that's uncommon as well. You know, listen, last year's class featured, if I'm not mistaken, 9 of the best 12 players in the state of Alabama, all of whom I think were ranked in the top 150 players in the country. You know, this is a great high school football state, and I'm really proud of the effort that our staff gave, and I think we're going to see the fruits of that labor. But you're right, we pieced together some transfers, meaningful transfers, especially on the offensive line, that we're very excited about. And you know, the proof's in the pudding. We got to go out there and compete. We got to go out there and win. We got to go out and show people the progress that we have made. You can't just talk about it. You got to do it. But you can see it when you go to practice. And, you know, you talk to NFL scouts who are always around, and they say, man, is this different than just 2 years ago? So it's good to hear those comments. But, again, we got to go out and do it.
John, a lot of folks will say about any college football team program, you know, so-and-so has to do this to be successful or has to win this many games to keep his job, whatever that is. Do you have sort of barriers, I guess, boxes that need to be checked, or with how you grade a coach, a team, or a season? Like, what do you look at as sort of your landmarks of success for a football team and a football coach?
Well, in the era of open transfer opportunities for everyone, I think there's got to be a connection point between a staff and a group. So I think there's 2 things that actually there's 3 things that I think are critically important. Number one, the coach, no matter what happens, has to still have the ear of the locker room, right? Number 2, kids have to get better. I mean, you have to point to our individual kids getting better, because if individual kids get better, you're going to have a better football team. And then number 3, are you recruiting at a very high level? Those are the 3 things that I think all coaches are judged on. So that's what I'm constantly evaluating, but that's not unlike Coach Freeze. He's evaluating his own program as well. And those 3 areas: do we have the locker room? Do we have are we developing players? and are we recruiting at a high level? If we do those things, then John Cohen can sleep at night.
I'm glad to hear that for sure. We don't want you to be low on sleep, that especially heading into what should be an entertaining fall. Lastly, you mentioned the game against Baylor and the challenges that surround that game. I just kind of want to ask you bigger picture, scheduling philosophy, and the fact that it currently lies with each and every athletic director for their specific school. You guys have played teams in the state of Alabama for a long time. You really prioritize playing teams from the South. I think that's great. But in the future, what does your scheduling philosophy look like with some of the Power 5 teams that you want to play on an annual basis?
Yeah, we have, and I can't reveal where we are with this process, guys, but we have some really exciting non-conference coming up. Of course, Baylor is an outstanding opponent. They're a great football team. Coach Aranda is one of the best football minds in the country. But we have some really exciting non-conference things in the works that we're very, very close to inking in a contractual form that we're thrilled with. And I think our fan base will be thrilled with as well.
I know there's a lot to be excited about there, and folks will be pumped to hear about it. John, thank you so much for the time this morning. We appreciate it. Look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thank you, Cole.
Yes, sir.
You all have a great day. War Eagle.
War Eagle. John Cohen, Auburn Athletic Director, joining us right there on the Higginbotham Hotline. We will follow up some of the things that he had to say and get our thoughts on it right after this on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Conversation with Auburn Athletic Director John Cohen just took place on the Higginbotham hotline. If you didn't catch that, joxfm.com or the app. Go grab that in your app store, and you can go back, follow up, listen on it. Intriguing conversation for multiple reasons, Greg. Hearing him discuss kind of where things are, what changes now. He added some clarity to it, and you understand where he is. You understand some of the frustrations that you can hear. He didn't necessarily voice them, but you can tell the way that he paused and the way that he answered a few questions that this has got to be a frustrating time for a lot of college football right now.
Well, there's just such a lack of clarity. And some people are working under different rules, under different and some schools have an advantage, a la Oregon, for example, the association with Nike. That can be real tangible. I mean, that's fair market value. That's real. That's real NIL. Like if this guy's going to wear Nike the rest of his career, then that you can front load some of that stuff. You know what I mean? And like, for example, when I got to the NFL, I signed a $50,000 deal with Nike over the course of 3 years. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of money. Granted, back then it was a ton of money. It was life-changing money. But when you look at what could happen with a guy that signs at Oregon now that might be a first-round pick down the road, we're talking millions of dollars that would cost to be that apparel guy, and that's real, authentic, fair market value NIL. So I think it's hard to kind of get clarity because there are just such natural built-in advantages for some schools. It is what it is, but also at the same time, like how do you police it? Like how do you determine like what's a pay for play and what's real, authentic NIL, and what's the fine line that you got to operate under?
I thought that was maybe the most telling thing from that conversation, Greg, when you asked him that, and he said, we don't know. That sure, there's a small handful of guys that are trying to police all of these teams, and I think without him saying that, we knew essentially what he was saying, and that's not happening. There's just no way. You don't have the manpower to do it.
No.
So are teams really going to police themselves? Are things really going to change? Intriguing thoughts there from John Cohen. And I also thought, too, the idea of being a little more forgiving, understanding the landscape of today's college football. Like, he didn't go into it and say, hey, I'm going to give Free some slack because I understand guys can leave. You got to go find new guys to fill in your rosters. Coaches hadn't had to deal with this. But it is good to hear that there is a little understanding of, hey, the landscape's changed. It's not what it always was. You got to have maybe a little bit more patience than you did 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago with how rosters are managed today.
Well, I also think kind of what he talked about, like having the roster, having the guys having the guys that are invested in the program and invested in the coach. That is something that we don't talk about enough, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, making sure the guys are there for the quote right reasons, all that other stuff. We kind of talk about that from time to time, but having legitimate, authentic buy-in is something that I think is really, really hard to create nowadays, because you have an option at the end of every season to go elsewhere. Because you might always be looking about, what the grass could be greener on the other side. That's a possibility. And
absolutely.
It's not like, hey, this is my place, I'm gonna be here forever. Some guys might feel that way, but I don't know if that's universally accepted in a locker room anymore. So I think it's sometimes hard to go all the way in, harder than it once was to go all the way in. And who can blame him for that? I get it.
100%. So some interesting thoughts from John Cohen. And just kind of hearing like where he is and where things are going. And we've talked about the expectations for this team this year, Greg. He brought up Baylor and scheduling. It sounds like Auburn has some really cool opponents that they could potentially be announcing in the near future, which I know Auburn fans will be pumped about. You want to see those games. You love those games. You like being a part of those games. A trip to Cal a couple of years ago. Now you'll be at Baylor this year. So fans want those games. They're clamoring for those games. We've talked about it for a long time. So good to hear that Auburn might be continuing to head in that direction.
Well, I want those games to still be in place, right? Like, I think it's great to play local schools. I think it's great to play schools from the state. I think it's healthy for the ecosystem of Alabama college football. But I also think it's healthy for Auburn to continue to stress challenging themselves outside of conference. Like, this Baylor game is a great game. It's going to be in a great window on a Friday night. A lot of people are going to be watching. It's the biggest game. You might have two teams that are ranked in the top 25, based on a lot of polls you see out there, like I think it's pretty likely that Auburn's in the top 25. I mean, we'll see, but I think it's pretty likely they'll be in the top 25, and I think it's absolutely possible that Baylor's in the top 25. I don't know for sure. I don't know how many of the AP are really super, super dialed in at this time of the year, but I would think that both those teams would be in the top 25. If you get a top 25 win in week 1 as you try to kind of catapult yourself into national relevance, it's big. So I love games like this. I want to see them continue to prioritize games like this. And you got to get lucky. Sometimes guess what? When this game was scheduled last year and Baylor's sitting there at 2-4,
yeah,
you don't feel great about it, right? Like, dang it. You know what I mean? That's not going to help us next year. And then they win 6 in a row, and all of a sudden that game looks pretty dang good. But I'm always curious about the philosophy. Like, do we want to schedule teams that'll give us home and homes? Do we want to go neutral site? I mean, Tennessee is playing a neutral site this year. South Carolina's playing a neutral site this year. Bama forever has played neutral site games. Auburn's played neutral site games. Or do you want to kind of revert back to more home and home? Like, I think these are all really interesting angles that we're starting to kind of figure out what the school's philosophy is.
Absolutely. And it can be different places. So, I want to get back to a conversation we were going to discuss a little bit earlier in the show revolving around you. But first, tell our listeners about Polar Bear Services.
Well, Polar Bear Services has been my go-to for a very long time. Always grateful to the service and experience that I've had when working with Weston and the guys. They do an amazing job. They go above and beyond to make sure that my home is taken care of. They've helped me out with the HVAC system, and man, it's running so smoothly this summer. It's been absolutely brutal for the last month. As far as heat is concerned, I haven't had any problems thanks to my friends at Polar Bear Services. They're the very best. They can also help you through electrical. They can also help you with your plumbing. So if you have a problem with your electrical, plumbing, heat, or air, just pick up the phone and call the Bear. It's 205-497-BEAR. It's 497-BEAR.
All right, when we come back, Greg's latest injury. Does he need a guardian cap? Next, Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, we'll take a little bit of a turn here out of college football. We'll come back to it in a few moments. Adam Smith will talk North Carolina to the SEC at 9 o'clock. Stay tuned for that. You were talking about your playing career at the Jets yesterday or the day before, I can't recall, and you said there was some sort of a calf injury that you had early on?
Not a calf injury. No, I tore my PCL. Thought it was a calf injury.
Thought it was calf. Could that have potentially have been your initial calf heart attack also?
No, other leg.
Thank
you, though.
Maybe you had bilateral calf heart attacks.
I think I overcompensated from the PCL,
Easily
which is what led. That could have been what led to.
Yeah.
That checks out.
There you go.
I could see that.
Possible. Okay, so recently you had a bit of an accident.
Yes.
We joked about you maybe needing a Guardian cap.
True.
And it's not funny what happened.
Might start wearing one.
I'm not trying to make light of that, but the part that I wanted to have the conversation with here on the show and ask our listeners, 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX, text in 205-834-9450, tweet in at Mac and Cube. Have you had this? Because once you describe this to me, and you'll describe it for our listeners, you then began to tell me how common it actually is.
Yes.
I had never heard of it. So first, take us through what happened to you, and then we can have the latter discussion.
So middle of the night, go to the restroom. Like most people, I don't feel like that's like an uncommon occurrence at our age.
Me.
Yeah, middle of the night, go to the restroom. As I'm going to the restroom, start to feel like real lightheaded. Like the whole world starts spinning. Like, whoa, like this is weird. I keep thinking to myself, I'm like, I think I'm gonna throw up. I thought I was sick or something. You know, I didn't know what the deal was. I thought I was gonna throw. I was like, okay, just get back to the bed and you'll figure it out. Like, you know, just get back to the bed and like lay your head down. Like, just sit there for a second. Just gather yourself. Well, I don't make it 5 feet before I faint. Like immediately, hit my chin on the dresser. Like they hurt my tooth. Cut my lip. Like it could have been really bad.
No, it could have been, yeah.
So I'm like freaking out. You know what I mean? Like what's wrong with me? Like I had a very, very close friend.
Did you have a concussion? Like did you know what had happened when you kind of came to?
I don't remember like faint. I just remember the last thing I remember was like just get to the bed. You know what I mean? Just get to the bed. And I couldn't do that. You know, typical like I could do it. Yeah. How'd that go? Anyways. Fast forward, what I've learned is that when you go to the restroom in the middle of the night and or at any point, your heart rate and blood pressure drops because of the just natural human body stuff. Blood pressure drops. Well, mine dropped to the point where I fainted. And you look in it, and it's called like microtrition syncope. And syncope is anytime you faint or pass out.
Okay.
But it's like kind of something that happens in your body with your nervous system, and it's wild. But it was like really scary, and I've since learned I have a friend that's happened to multiple times. Another friend that has had it happen to him. One more friend that works at ESPN with us told me it's happened to him. Like this has happened to another one of our colleagues that was actually on the road getting ready to do a game. It happened to him and like was very, very much hurt.
Yeah, not great.
And I'm like, this must be like a super common occurrence. So like I've gotten lightheaded before getting out of bed too fast or whatever the circumstances are. But like if you are lightheaded and or the world starts spinning upon like going to the bathroom in the middle of the night, especially in the middle of the night, because your blood pressure at that point, your resting heart rate at that point is already really low, sit down and like lay down. Don't try to be a hero because that is the worst thing you can do, because it's not a problem that you faint. It's a problem when you hit the ground or whatever it is you hit en route to the ground, like I did with the dresser. So like, that's my word of warning. This is something that I guess is not that uncommon, but goodness gracious, it was scary, and it could have been really, really bad had I hit the side of my head or whatever it might have been on the ground. But not good, dude. Not good.
Crazy just to think about that took place. Now, does this also count? I know you mentioned the restroom portion, but in researching this, like I know this has started to happen to me in the last maybe year or so. Like when I'm playing with my kids or something, like if I'm laying down playing, I don't know, Jenga, or like my youngest has this little baseball game that you have to like manually play. And and then I get up real fast, like I'm about to fall.
Yeah.
That's happened to me a lot recently. And it's happened at occasions through my whole life, but it feels like it happens almost every time I get up and I'm on the ground for a while now. Does that have anything to do with something similar?
No, I mean, I'm sure, yeah, it's just the way your blood rushes through your body when you change body positions. That's not uncommon. But no, this is like purely blood pressure related. And like I'm very cognizant of my health. Everyone's like, you get your heart checked, all this other stuff. Like I have a Whoop, like I have all this stuff, like everything's buttoned up. I feel perfectly fine. I guess it's just kind of I don't want to say it's like a miraculous thing that happens within your body, but it kind of is in a roundabout way. I never even thought about when you go to the restroom, your blood pressure drops, but it makes sense. Like there's a relief when I went to the restroom. I'm good. You know what I mean? So it kind of makes sense, but scary nonetheless. I don't know about that. But I've always been super scared. One of my best friends in the NFL died at 29 from a brain aneurysm. I've been like scared to death of like, that's like my scariest thing ever. So I started thinking like, what's wrong with me? And upon doing more due diligence, it's just not really an uncommon occurrence. So word of warning here, as we age on Mac and Cube, if you're noticing something and you are feeling lightheaded and you feel like the world all of a sudden immediately feels like you get hit with a sledgehammer immediately, and all of a sudden you're dizzy and kind of out of place, out of sorts, like sit down, because the worst thing that can happen is if you try to do too much and you fall and put yourself in a really, really difficult situation. Sit down, leaning against the wall, sit down, leaning against something firm that will hold you up or stabilize you in the event in which you actually lose consciousness. Cause it's pretty scary, man. It really was.
Yeah. I've
been like shaken up about it all week. Kind of like, I really have. It's kind of like unsettling. I think other things can lead to it, though. Possibility of dehydration contributes to it. Things like that can contribute to it. I always try to be hydrated, so that's never been something that's been super concerning. But, man, it was tough. It was scary. Could have been bad.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Okay. Man, that is I wanted to give folks to chime in at Mac and Cube. Be able to text in as well, 205-834-9450, because I had never heard of it. And I was actually going to kind of have some fun with it, but you went way serious there.
Well, I don't know. How do you have fun with it? Like, I don't know what, like, there's not really any way to have, I mean, it's kind of funny. Like, yeah, I look like I got in a fight. I feel like I got in a fight. The last fight I got in, like, legit got in a fight probably without a helmet on. In college, we had a couple scrums, but nothing too significant. I think the last fight I got in was probably 15. Probably ninth to 10th grade. And I feel like I did after getting hit in the face.
Sure.
Punched right square in the face. Did I win the fight?
Yeah.
Do you ever really win a fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was a victory. I also wouldn't say it was a loss. It was kind of, we both got a couple shots in, and then we finished the basketball game. I mean, it wasn't that big a deal.
So, got you.
Hey, we're boys down. Let's go get some pizza.
Gotcha.
You know?
Jolly tweets into the show. First off, he says, was a fire medic for a career. GMAC needs a doc visit. It may be nothing, but I'd get a doctor's opinion, get it checked.
100% already did. He said we're good.
Okay. He also tweets into the show, hey, I call Cubelic. Ever consider doing your ad reads in your coach voice?
We need ad reads in the coach voice?
Game day, man's hell.
That would be the one that I know would not care about it and would actually think it was funny.
Go over to your CBD store. Get yourself a pump.
BJ wouldn't care either. Honestly, he would probably think it's funny. So here you go. Let me tell you about your CBD store. If you're having trouble getting over the corner and getting a pump and you need more energy, your CBD store got what you need. I don't care how much sleep you get, you ought to be able to get to work every day. But by God, if you need some more, your CBD store got products that's going to help you out. You're showing up so fat today, like you ever do every day. If that's a problem for you, head over to your CBD store. They are the largest brick-and-mortar CBD retailer in the world. Your CBD store first company have USDA certified organic oil supplements. They got a stamp seal on them products. They meet and achieve a certain set of standards, unlike most of y'all in practice every day. You gotta be the dumbest if you ain't ever showing up to your CBD store to buy some products and make you feel life in your everyday. Just be better. We will run the whole damn practice again through the chutes, play by play, if you don't go by your CBD store today. One of their 3 locations, Highway 280 by God, Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cajun Cleaver, and now in Trussville 459. Your CBD store. We're good. Hell hits friggin' home. Maybe BJ will be mad at that. I don't know.
I doubt it.
I'm fired.
I still think like
I am fired.
the funniest, like the absolute funniest story was going over the script again.
God.
The shoots.
The shoots. It's like,
Got to do it.
That was hilarious.
I'm telling you, if Victor Riley was still alive, I'd have him on the show to tell the
That was
story.
hilarious.
Because he was the one that shouldn't have done it. Well, he should have, but he was the one that was going to get the best reaction. Because there was a hate-love relationship with Victor Riley and Rick Trickett. And when he looked up there and he was like, Coach, that's a pass play. You knew what was coming next. Start the script over again. We did. We went back to play 1.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
43 on 2. And then somebody he'd change the snap count too.
That's worse.
Guys would jump off sides.
Oh my gosh.
He's on 2. He'd take his hat off and slap you in
You're
the rear end with
absolutely
it.
just going through the motions at that point.
Oh, you're just trying to get through it. You're not listening to the play. What are you going to do? Take a hard step left to the shoot?
Oh gosh.
You're going to take a wide zone step through the shoot? There's only one place to go, straight ahead, unless you want to take out your teammate. There's a bar to your left and a bar to your right, like 2 inches away from each foot. You can't go. All you can do is start with the correct foot. I think he would try to say, "It's a left foot lead."
That's the wrong foot.
Coach, I'm just trying to breathe. You'll pass out before you die.
I don't know why I find that so funny.
There were so many water breaks too, where he would tell you have a trainer with every position group.
Yeah.
And he would tell ours not to come over there. We would have the mandated water breaks. And they would stop the periods or whatever, and everybody would go and like take their helmets off. This is when we got a little bit softer later in my career. And he would literally tell our guy not to come over there. Stay your ass over there. They don't deserve it.
I don't need it.
Y'all don't deserve water. And he would have his
Y'all
little
don't
Gatorade
deserve-
bottle
y'all
bending
don't
over
deserve
sideways,
water.
squirting water in his mouth. They don't deserve it.
Y'all don't deserve water. You don't deserve access to water. Oh, gosh. It's so bad.
It's so different for offensive linemen.
Oh.
Like a receiver coach would never.
I'd still tell you the best day ever was when he made us push the sled and the tire was flat. And we're pushing the sled around the field on the rim. This is one of those big sleds where he sat on top of it and could steer and had the brakes. So not where you're standing on the metal actual like ski portions of it. This thing had a platform, and he would sit up on the platform and he could steer it and hit the brake. And the tires were like big ATV tires, like rear lawnmower tractor tires.
Yeah.
So like that wide, they were thick and the thing's flat. And so no matter how we would steer it, it would just it would just turn the same direction the whole time. So we're basically going in circles. And we shredded half the practice field.
I'm sure.
The thing just digging through the dirt.
Oh, it was.
And finally, I think like we had a linebacker coach who's one of the Auburn all-time greats. And they didn't really get along. Because in pass rush, he would want to do stuff over again. He'd be like, no, I'm not making my guy do that again. Like, he did it right. We're not, no. And so I think he walked by and he's like, tires flat.
Tires
And
flat.
we were like, this ought to be good.
Oh, boy.
And he just didn't say anything. But he was essentially saying, like, this is really dumb.
Tires flat.
This is really stupid. Like, they can't push it like that, but you're just going to keep making them do it. Okay, here we go.
Tires flat.
He just kept walking in. Left side got to be stronger. And then the shoots, pushing the sled, too, he would call the plays. 26 on 2. You want to be like, Coach, that requires me to block back and the right guard pulls. That's counter. How do we do that against the sled?
Against the sled.
You block it out.
Nobody would say that. That's what we should have done is pull around the sled.
Just avoid.
Where are you going?
Think about that. You would have to go around the sled and you'd have 2 guys pushing down.
I don't know who would have been Who would have caught more hell there? The other 4 that came off and tried to push it themselves, or the one or from the coach? Because my teammates would have probably beat me up before he said anything for bailing on him. I was like, and it's what it is. Requires us to pull there. Sorry. God, there was so.
Oh gosh.
I saw some dude on Twitter coach something or other, and he was talking about 2-a-days. He went through all these things like you did in the day. It was like, he said 2 full pad practices. We did do that a couple of times. Those were under Tuberville, though. Terry Bowden never did that. Tommy Tuberville, your future governor, made us practice twice a day in full pads. Have I told you that story?
That's not uncommon.
The first day.
First day of practice.
Oh, I'll tell this story when we come back. Tuberville's first year at Auburn. This is a doozy. Next, Mac and Cube in the morning. And the game is now the presidential fitness test. If you missed it, that the president signed in new guidelines for the presidential physical fitness test, and Triple H was with him there when he did it. All right, so story time here on Mac and Cube in the morning. 8:50, Friday, August 1st. We're talking about a tweet that I saw. A guy was going through like all the things that happened and how it used to be back in the day. And the gentleman said, I was going to try to find the tweet, but I can't get, I don't know where it is. It's Corey something. I can't remember his name. And we never definitively went 2 full pad practices in a day. He kind of made it sound like that was just the norm. And you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to go helmets, shells, whatever it is.
Yeah,
and
there was no ramp up period back then.
Yeah. And so I don't think he's that much older than I am. You're supposed to have, well, first off, like there was either your first 3 practices or your first 3 days were supposed to be helmets only. And then maybe your first 3 practices. 3 days sounds like a lot in helmets. Oh, that doesn't feel real. And then after that, you were supposed to practice one practice was supposed to be at least shells, the other full pads. Like that made any real difference.
Like that makes a difference.
Just come off the ball.
I'll be honest with you, I like full pads better than shells. Seriously.
Yeah,
No,
like
no,
because
dog.
shells is pointless. Like,
No, dog.
it's
Dude,
You weren't there was at least no to the ground. We didn't do middle drill in shells.
Oh, we did. Nothing changed in our
We didn't do
practice.
Oklahoma in shells.
Oklahoma's still legal?
When I played, it was. That's how we started every two-a-days.
You get over there. Give me Cubelic.
Finish the block!
You got to get off that block.
It's like coming off a double team into the Keo. You got to finish the linebacker. Okay.
You got to attack the right shoulder.
Point out the guy minus Alan Faneca that handles that in our league. And then we'll talk about it.
Faneca, he could play.
Oh, my God. That dude was unbelievable. We would watch LSU play other defenses, and he's like, look at 66. Why can't y'all come off like that? God almighty. All I need is that right there. That's all I need. NFL Hall of Famer. That's probably top 20 offensive lineman all time. If you could just do that, we'd be fine.
I don't understand.
I would too, Coach. I'd have left early for the draft last year. Be out of here. So the first year Tuberville comes in, it's supposed to be helmets only first day of 2 days. He tells us, first off, we're moving to the intramural fields. So first practice in 2 days is like 6. You're on the field 5:30. Maybe on the field at 5 and start at 5:30. I can't remember. Intramural fields, it's not even real grass. It's like side of the interstate grass over there. So, and it's not, I mean, it was like a half a mile walk, but you're in pads or whatever. And he said, you can drive over there if you want to, which is so stupid. But I had a pickup truck, so I was like, why don't, like 80, y'all get in the back of my truck and I'll drive us over there, which we probably knew somebody's going to get mad at us for that. So we pull up, and offensive line, always dumb, had to be on the field like 45 minutes for everybody else so we could work pass sets and center quarterback exchange, whatever it was. And then we did center quarterback exchange in the real practice too. And so we walk up, and there's only a couple trainers and maybe one or two coaches, and Eddie Grand was standing there. Eddie Grand, who would go on to be the offensive coordinator in multiple places. He still works at Kentucky now, but not a non-field position. He said, what are y'all doing? We're here for practice, Coach. Not like that, you're not. What are you talking about? We're full pads, boys. It's first day. It's the first practice. He said, that's right, we're full pads. And I can't remember who it was, but there's a guy, he said, you can't go full pads on the first day. He goes, well, we are.
Just did.
And we kind of sat there for a minute, and he comes back, he goes, hey, boys, I ain't kidding. It's full pads. And by the way, have y'all seen the script? He said, we got Oklahoma, we got middle drill, we got full speed pass rush. And he goes, we're going live, team, at the end of practice today. Go get your gear. We thought that was a joke. Period 1. Over the bars. Oklahoma, first period.
Of the first day.
Period 9, middle drill.
I love it. You still remember the period numbers.
Period 21, team, full speed
Were
to
the
the
periods
ground.
all 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, ours too.
Yeah.
But in the NFL, our periods changed lengths. It's
Well,
like,
we're
on period 6, 21 minutes. Like,
What?
what?
Hold on a second.
That's
Hang on.
brutal.
At least they told you, because now when you go to these practices, they have the digital clocks.
Yeah.
So one side of the clock says 6, and then the other's counting down. So it's 2:58, 2:57, 2:56.
You know how much longer you got?
I don't think we did. I don't think we did a 5-minute period the entire time I was there. I mean, it was like there would be certain periods you're like, we got to be on minute 13 right now.
Yeah.
There's literally no way this has been 5 minutes. And so we go through that whole deal, and when we're just sitting there thinking, you're probably not supposed to be able to do this. And that was when the infamous quote, the next year, because that was his first year he took over, and like period, I remember like game 3 in our team meetings, like all the D linemen would stand and be like, Coach, our legs are dead. Like come third quarter, we can't run. Like we're done. Which we do better than to say that, because I'll show you dead. Right after you pass out. And so the next year, I remember Tuberville says, he goes, because that was brought up in our senior meeting. Coach, remember last year our legs were dead, like game 3, like we got to managed this through camp. And he's like, you know what, y'all are right. I'm going to take it easy on you. You know what I'm going to do? We're going to do 2 2-a-days and a 1-a-day. 2 2-a-days and a 1-a-day. And we're sitting there thinking, we got it made. This is it.
Made in the shade.
Best camp of our lives.
Best ever.
13 straight 2-a-days.
Oh.
And I'm not exaggerating that. 13 consecutive 2-a-days.
How quick when you were in camp did you look for that first off day? You get the schedule. Where is it? Oh, my gosh. 21 practices till we get there.
Oh, that's it.
Count it down, boys.
Got to grind through it.
We got 18 straight days. Let's ride.
Well, the thing that I thought of most when I saw that tweet was he went through the whole thing, and we always had to go back to the facility after dinner and watch film again. We're the only position group that did it. And I was like, that's the part you left out that was almost the worst. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. A couple great tweets coming in. We have Adam Smith coming up, so we don't have time to get to all of them, but I did want to read this one. Rod at GRC4 Bama tweets in, you'll syncope before you die.
That's true. Good line. Quality.
And if you missed our last segment, it doesn't make any sense. Absolutely none. Actually, if you missed our last 2 segments.
It's syncope, by the way.
Yeah, syncope before you die. Excuse me.
You'll syncope before you die.
Drink some more Gatorade to hydrate so you don't syncope. All right, let's go to the Higginbotham hotline now. Welcome Adam Smith into the show, who has no idea what is happening, but that's okay. We'll move on from it. And we're a couple of days behind, Adam. Some of your reporting and discussion on North Carolina potentially investigating, looking into, feeling out the process. I don't know the exact verbiage that I should use here of potentially landing in the SEC one day. What brought this on initially to take you into looking further into the possibility of that one day becoming a reality?
Well, guys, thanks for having me. You can keep reading the that. I have no objection there.
We'll get to a couple more here in a minute then.
Well, this is, this is sort of, UNC is, I would say UNC has sort of been telegraphing. For those of us who are down in it, they've sort of been telegraphing this for a while now. But it's started to pick up momentum with the Clemson FSU lawsuit. Clemson and Florida State were suing the ACC because of the league's exit fees. There's a media rights deal that was in place. Well, it's not in place anymore. And the terminology you always heard with that was it was ironclad. It went all the way back to when Maryland left the ACC in 2014. When Maryland left for the Big Ten, the schools then, John Swofford was the the commissioner of the league. They signed a grant of rights deal, giving up their TV rights, their media rights to the league. And so at that point, that was looked at, 11 years ago, 10 years ago, looked at a huge victory for the league to sort of keep everybody in place with realignment sort of rumbling around. But the Clemson FSU lawsuit, which got settled in March, is earlier this year, that has sort of opened the door for, people who want to leave the league. I would say the exit fees are going to be dropping substantially. It's going to be $18 million each year as the years go on. And that grant of rights, I know there's a bunch of like legalese that's not exciting at all to people who like sports, but the grant of rights deal that was in place where you gave up your media rights, that's gone. So I guess the story that I wrote last week, it tried to lay out that, it's a clearer path is the way that the story we wrote is the way we said it. It's sort of a clearer path to any team that wants to leave. And Carolina honestly has sort of sat back a little bit and let Clemson and FSU make a bunch of noise about this and sort of make a mess. And from what, we've been reporting and we've learned, they've sort of been plotting, UNC has its own exit from the league that it founded.
So help me understand a little bit what North Carolina's thought process is about which league they would join. I understand why they would potentially leave the ACC. That's fair and understandable. But which league do they prefer, the Big Ten or the SEC? Because it sounds like SEC, but people associated with the Big Ten seem to think they would leave for them over the SEC. I just don't know.
Well, I don't either, honestly. But, there seems to be the majority of the people you talk to that are involved in these decisions would support the move to the SEC. But it's split. I mean, there's a fracture. UNC is a really great academic school. And as I mentioned in the story that we wrote last week, Mac Brown used to joke behind the scenes that if Carolina was to leave the ACC, that the academic faculty, the people in academics would want to go to the Big Ten, and then the fan bases would want to go to the SEC, mainly the football and basketball fan bases. Carolina also is great in the Olympic sports. They have a women's soccer dynasty, a women's lacrosse dynasty, field hockey, and some of those sports the SEC doesn't sponsor. which I don't think it would be tremendously difficult maybe to stay in the ACC, other than the ACC would be pissed, I would think, for some of those sports. But I mean, it's a good question. I mean, would the SEC want UNC? Would the Big Ten want UNC? People look at UNC as a great brand. I'm not sure how competitive football-wise they would be in the SEC. I mean, some of the Carolina fans that are in touch with us all the time, that read our stuff and watch our stuff, have made the joke that, I don't want to go to the SEC and be Vanderbilt, with all due respect to Vanderbilt, by the way. But it's a good question. I mean, I think the SEC, and from what we've learned, what I wrote last week, the SEC is what sort of the power brokers, the people who are making the decisions now, would be aiming toward. There's been some change. The AD at UNC, Bubba Cunningham, has been there for a good while. He's been there since 2011. This school year coming up is going to be his last school year as the AD. There's a new chancellor in place, Lee Roberts, and he is making things happen. He has a huge background in finance. And I'm sure you guys read the story. He was, from what we've learned, he was like a key player behind the scenes, the UNC chancellor was, in getting FSU and Clemson to the finish line in that settlement. Now you're thinking, like, why would he get involved in this? Well, it would benefit Carolina to get those exit fees down and to get the grant of rights gone. So it's a good question, Greg. I mean, I would think SEC is where they're aiming. That's what we're hearing. But there's certainly people that want them to go to the Big Ten too if they leave the ACC.
Adam Smith of Inside Carolina joining us on the Higginbotham hotline at Adam_Smith_IC. This is not necessarily a question requiring factual information from a story you've done, but I just want your opinion from sort of a 1,000-foot view, us who don't know the inner workings of Carolina like you do. You referenced coming to the SEC, maybe not having success in football. A lot of folks, myself included, view that place as a sleeping giant and have for a long time, yet no one's truly been able to awaken it. Matt got close twice, really, but why consistently? Take us sort of inside why it can't happen on a consistent basis at North Carolina.
Well, if you ask Mac that question, he would point to the funding. Like that would be his. I don't want to say excuse, but that's what he would say. The UNC is sort of pushing the chips in now with Belichick. But yeah, like I was in school. I went to UNC. I was in school a little older than you guys in the late 90s, and that was MAC 1.0. And they had some good years there. Had 11-win season before he went to Texas. They had a couple sort of Armageddon matchups with FSU when Bobby Bowden and Peter Work and those guys had FSU just absolutely murdering people. So they've been on the cusp of being, really nationally relevant at times, but it hasn't been sustained. And like I said, in recent years, was able to sort of really get close with Mac, just being around there all the time. And he always pointed to the funding that like, for instance, the SEC schools could go into this is before, the NIL regulations and legislation and stuff, but he would point to, the portal, and he would say, a guy, there's an offensive lineman at Ole Miss named Diego Pounds. Well, he started at UNC for a couple years, and, I think Ole Miss paid him a ton to come, be a backup. He would point to situations like that where, we can't retain some of these guys. They were sweating it out the last couple off seasons when people came after Drake May and people came after Omari and Hampton and people like that, guys who ended up being first-round draft picks in the league. But, if you talk to the Carolina Brain Trust now, they'll point to, they've given Belichick $50 million for 5 years. They've doubled the head coach's salary. Mac was making $5 million a year. Belichick's making $10 million a year. They've created a front office for football. They didn't have player personnel people. They didn't have that side of it, working the portal, making the acquisitions. It was the coaching staff and some of the, they did have a GM, but they didn't have that sort of front office. So I mean, they're betting on football now. I mean, obviously UNC has been a basketball school, a historic basketball school, and that program has been well funded forever. But they're ramping it up. I mean, the freaking board of trustees is very fired up around there. They were a huge factor in getting Belichick there. So it's a good question. Sleeping giant. It's funny you say sleeping giant because that's a thing around here. I live in North Carolina, obviously. That's a phrase that like NC State fans and Duke fans use mockingly with Carolina. The sleeping giant, about to awaken, sleeping giant. And then usually when UNC has one of those first bad losses in football, the joke is, well, when does basketball season start? So, sleeping giant's an interesting term to throw out there. It's a good one.
Looking at this year's schedule, if they get through TCU, things look pretty good. TCU's going to be a handful. They're a good football team. But if they get through that one, in all likelihood, they're going to be undefeated with Clemson coming to town. Let's say you lose that one. They're going to be favored in just about every game up until they go on the road to NC State. So how realistic is it to think that this team, even though there are so many uncertainties about the roster, they might actually be in a great position at season's end just because the schedule is about as gettable as you can possibly find in the ACC?
I mean, I couldn't say it any better, honestly, because the schedule is favorable. The ACC preseason poll came out the other day, and Carolina's playing 5 of the bottom 6 in the poll. Now, you know how those things go. FSU was picked to win the league last year, and they didn't win a conference game, or maybe they won one. They finished last. But yeah, I mean, the schedule is certainly favorable, manageable. And you've got arguably the greatest coach of all time in the sport. Now who the heck knows how that's going to shake out? He's never coached. I mean, Belichick's coached nearly 50 years in the NFL. He's never coached a game in college ever. But yeah, in terms of the schedule, it stacks up. I do think TCU, is going to be testy, and then they play Clemson. That's their first ACC game early October, and Clemson looks to be, by ACC standards, pretty loaded. They were returning like 80% of their production from last year. I think that's the most nationally in terms of returning production. But there's a bunch. There's Cal and there's Stanford on the schedule. There's UVA. There's Syracuse. There's Wake. I mean, there's a lot of teams that aren't expected to do much. That, as you said, UNC should be favored, but I mean, that's the thing. The question marks are everywhere. I mean, they've brought in 39 transfers. They lost 39 transfers. They brought in 39 transfers. They got something like 30 freshmen too. So, I mean, some of these positions are just going to be completely are completely brand new. They got something like 8 transfer offensive linemen just on the line alone. The dude who they want to start at quarterback, Gio Lopez, at South Alabama last year, he didn't even go through the spring. He got there in May. So, UNC starts practice tomorrow morning. That'll be his first actual practice at Carolina. So they lost 2,000 yards from scrimmage and Amari and Hampton in the backfield. So if you use the term new look, it is completely new look. It's going to be all new linebacking core, the defensive line too. So, I mean, it's hard to project. A lot of it is just sort of betting on the improvements just in terms of fundamental and discipline that they can make with, Belichick barking at you every day.
Adam, while we've got you here, you began to go into it just a little bit, and this is a difficult read like a lot of college football teams right now. There's so many new faces, new places, and then this is a new staff also, so scheme will be a bit of a question mark. What's the real expectation? I mean, what are you anticipating to see from North Carolina this fall with very little information that we know you have?
Oh, I mean, I honestly don't know. I do think that UNC will be better at quarterback. They had problems at quarterback last year. I mean, Max Johnson, God bless him, season opener at Minnesota. I mean, he suffered a gruesome leg injury in the third quarter. It was bad. Initially, watching it looked like he had blown out his knee, but it ended up being a broken leg, his hip. Some people around Carolina thought he might not ever walk like correctly again. And his rehab has been grueling. I mean, he's been through it. He had to stay. UNC opened at Minnesota on a Thursday night last year, won the game, come back, obviously. He stayed up there 2 more weeks in Minneapolis having surgeries on the leg before he could come back. So I do think, I mean, all of that to say, they ended up using the backup, and then they got to the third stringer, a kid named Jacoby Criswell. So I do think the quarterback play is positioned to be better. I mean, I had Drake May for a couple years, and quarterback was, and then Sam Howell before that. So Carolina had about a 5-year run of, an NFL caliber quarterbacking where you didn't have to worry about that position, but it took a major step back just in production and competency last season with the injuries and the way they were sort of scuffling there. But I do think they'll be better with Gio Lopez at quarterback. I don't know. I'm interested to see what the defense looks like under Steve Belichick. There's 3 Belichicks coaching this team and 2 Lombardis on the staff also. So there's some favoritism in play, or nepotism. I don't know what the defense is going to look like. We've tried to figure it out. Hopefully we get a look tomorrow when we can get out to practice a little bit. But, I think 7 wins, 8 wins are doable, just by the schedule alone. They have some funky matchups. They go to Cal on a Friday night. It's a 10:30 game over here in the East. They go to Syracuse on Halloween night. Obviously they play TCU. They play TCU on Labor Day night at 8 p.m. on a Monday, so it's not exactly, we'll see you Saturday at 1 p.m. But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you just don't really have much of a gauge. Freddie Kitchens is the new offensive coordinator. So, I mean, he was involved in play calling, obviously, with the Browns there for a couple of years, and Baker Mayfield. He was involved with the Cardinals. He was tight end coach for the Cardinals for a while when Carson Palmer was out there. So, I was talking to Gio Lopez the other day. He was talking about, like, that's the film that he's watching. He's obviously watching Tom Brady. But he's watching Carson Palmer. He's watching Baker Mayfield. He's watching Matt Castle. He's watching Cam Newton from when he had a cup of coffee with the Patriots. So expectations, I don't know. It's going to be, if you're playing the odds in Vegas, it's going to be interesting. I mean, there's a ton of games they should probably win. UNC Charlotte, Richmond. They go to Central Florida. You would think they would win that with what's been going on down there. But, I don't know. The pick to finish eighth in the ACC. So I would say 7 or 8 wins would be maybe realistic for this team.
Well, we appreciate the breakdown. Appreciate the time. Great stuff. And we'll definitely have you back, Adam. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys reaching out. Have a good one.
There you go. Adam Smith from Inside Carolina joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. I didn't mean the Sleeping Giant as a slight, Greg. I mean, I thought I didn't know that was a running joke up there. I just kind of figured, because you view it like I do, right? That why has this not always been able to go? It feels like there are so many things that point in the direction outside of the color of the jerseys that should allow them to be successful year in, year out.
I think that the biggest thing is there's a little bit of a tug of war between the basketball crowd and the football crowd. And I think that's a real thing, and that's okay. Having lived in Charlotte for a couple of years and spent have a lot of friends that are very much involved in UNC's fundraising, it's not cool to be supportive of UNC for whatever reason. I don't know why. They have plenty of money. That's like always the pushback. And basketball, of course, has generated a lot of interest for a long time. Football has just kind of been on the sideline a little bit, but it's in there. You go and walk in that stadium and you see all the guys that played there. You're like, oh, okay. They got dudes here. They've had tradition here, from LT to Dre Bly to a bunch of other guys that have been really, really good in the NFL for a long time. So They can do it. They can recruit. It's just now about putting a consistent product on the field.
Absolutely. All right. We have an interesting conversation to have about the history of the Southeastern Conference that'll come here in just a moment. First, tell our listeners about Chenard Flooring.
Well, Chenard Flooring's been great. I really trust them. And if you're thinking about making changes to your floors, go with the group that really builds their entire company on trust and integrity, and tremendous inventory right now is in stock, and they're time to take advantage of it. $10 off per box. They have 40,000 square feet of Core-Tech flooring by Shaw in stock, and you can get $10 off per box right now. So that savings can really add up if you're making wholesale changes to your home. So go and check them out at fooandyou.com. 12 months financing is available as well. So that Core-Tech flooring is beautiful. It's durable, waterproof, pet-proof, kid-proof, you name it. It's going to bring value to your home or business. So go and check out Chenard Flooring. Save some money, $10 off per box off that Core-Tech flooring. And go and look at it online by going to fooandyou.com.
All right. We'll discuss some of the history of the Southeastern Conference next on Mac and Cube in the morning. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Before we get into a fun conversation with Norman Jetmanson on a little bit of the history from the SEC, including Sewanee, I'll tell you about Royal Automotive. If you are looking for the easiest spot in town to go pick up a new vehicle, it's got to be Royal. Why? You ask? Well, 4 dealerships, 1 destination, unmatched selection and savings. Royal Buick, GMC, Royal Volkswagen, Royal Auto Mart, Volvo Cars of Vestavia Hills, all at the corner of I-65 and Highway 31 of Vestavia. From sales to service, the team at Royal can help you find that new ride and keep you rolling. When it's time to start searching for your next vehicle, all 4 stores in one location means you can get behind the wheel for a test drive without driving all over town. When they say for every ride there's Royal, they mean it. If you're shopping for that very first ride or your dream ride, go see my friends at Royal. Royal Buick, GMC, Royal Volkswagen, Royal Auto Mart, Volvo Cars of Vestavia Hills, all at the corner of I-65 and Highway 31 of Vestavia, online at royalautomotive.net. We're joined in studio by Norman Jetmanson now, who has a book out on the history of Sewanee football and Sewanee in the SEC. Norman, give us like a little preview of what fans can expect from this book that you have out.
Sure. I appreciate you having me on. So Sewanee had the most incredible single football season in history. And we started out by doing a documentary film, which has been shown on Alabama Public Television and others. And then we got so much archival material and things that needed to be preserved, we turned it into a book. Let me give you a snapshot of that single season. So this was a time when most schools in the South only played 3 or 4 games a year because it was so expensive to travel. You know, teams in the Northeast were very close to each other and they could play a lot of games, but it was almost cost prohibitive in the South. But in 1899, a 20-year-old student named Luke Lee put together a 12-game schedule, which was unheard of in the South, and also required them to travel all over the Southeast. So they played 12 games in 6 weeks. But, Greg, think about this. They traveled 2,500 miles on a train and played 5 games in 6 days. Not only won them all, they scored 91 points to their opponent's 0. So that's an accomplishment that will never even be attempted again, much less duplicated.
To describe what he's talking about, on November 9th, they played against the Texas Longhorns. That was on November 9th. November 10th, they played against Texas A&M. Not a terrible trip there, but now you go from Texas A&M to Tulane, where they beat them on November 11th, day 3, 23-0. They go to Baton Rouge after that. Nice off day on November 12th, where they get a nice off day and they smoke LSU 34-0 before finishing up in Memphis, where they played Ole Miss and won that game 12-0. So to go 2,500 miles to play 5 games in 6 days, with the one off day being November 12th, is just unthinkable. And this was a time when the football game was very barbaric, was it not? I mean, help us understand what the game looked like in 1899.
Yes, it was quite different than what we think of as football today. There was no forward passing. So you had 3 downs to make 5 yards. And there was no huddling. So it was a short yard, goal line stand kind of a game, play after play after play, and you played both ways. So if you don't make a first down or you fumble, you're suddenly going from offense to defense and vice versa. It was also a time when there was very little protective gear. Most players had canvas pants with maybe a little padding, no shoulder pads. They just wore jerseys and sweatshirts. Little leather helmets were just coming into vogue then, so there were a few players who had those. Most players back then used long hair as their padding. And in fact, when we played Ole Miss that year, they were called the long-haired Knights of the Oval from Oxford because they thought that it was a matter of pride to only wear hair and not helmets. But it was a very brutal game. But 2 other aspects that are important is this was 34 years after the Civil War. So this was a way that these young men could prove their manhood because their fathers and grandfathers had fought in a war, and this football became kind of a proxy for battlefield glory. The other thing is if you left the game for any reason, you couldn't come back in. So you couldn't take a few plays off to catch your breath and come back in. You stayed in the whole time, and it was considered cowardly to come out of a game. So literally, unless you had an arm or leg broken or, unfortunately, you were killed, you stayed in. So it was a much different kind of game than what we know today.
Norman Jetmanson with us now discussing his book on the 1899 Sewanee football team. Also, the antics after plays. You read some of the history of football in the 1800s, specifically around like Jack Trice. It was the brutality there didn't stop when the play ended. A lot of guys, like you said, trying to prove how tough they were, spiking individuals, extracurricular activities after the plays was rampant in those days.
Well, not only rampant, it was allowed by the rules. So biting, kicking, whatever you want to do, punching, they would punch each other in the face. They would kick. There was something called lunching, which if you were down in a pile, before you got up, you would bite the leg of your opponent, and that was called lunching. And one of the Sewanee players would reach across right before a play and pinch the center to try to get him all distracted before he centered the ball. One other thing, since Greg was a quarterback, the quarterback then, not only was there no forward passing, he was not allowed to run with the ball. So he called the plays, and then he handed or pitched it off to a back, and then he became a blocker. So the quarterback's primary role back then was to call the plays and then be a blocker. So it was a much different game too.
Looking at some of the people that you interviewed in putting this together, Bobby Bowden, Vince Dooley, Johnny Majors, Coach Saban, what would you say was maybe the most impactful interview when kind of discussing the context of what this team accomplished in 1899?
Well, we got to go into Vince Dooley's living room and talk to him, and he was just such a Southern gentleman and a real scholar of football history. So he knew so much that added to our film. Bobby Bowden the same way. I was surprised how much both of them not only knew about the history of college football, but they knew about the Sewanee team, and that was really incredible. And then Johnny Majors, whose father, Shirley Majors, was the longtime coach at Sewanee. So he had grown up in Sewanee. He knew all about the team. So to hear these legends talk about the history of football, the brutality of it, and as well as knowing specifically this season was really remarkable.
Unrivaled is the book, Sewanee's 1899 football team. Norman Jetmanson joining us in the studio to discuss it. Why was this team so different? Why were they able to put together, as you mentioned, in such a different time in history, a team that nobody could really compete with?
Well, I'll quote Coach Bowden on that. He said, the most important thing in any team is team, team, team. And the captain of the team, Henry Diddy Siebels, gave a radio broadcast in 1931 where he was talking about it, and he said teamwork was the key. They didn't have jealousies. They worked together. And Sewanee was different back then because the winters were pretty rough in Sewanee, so they actually started school in the summer. So the football team got to practice all summer while most schools didn't start until the fall. And they had some returning players, but the main thing is that these guys were just really tough, really devoted to this. And let me add, too, there are no athletic scholarships. Mm-hmm. They're full-time students. The vice chancellor at Sewanee required them to maintain good grades, which was kind of a disadvantage for a small school like Sewanee. There were only 126 students there.
126?
All male. And at that time, a number of the people on the football team were medical students, seminary students. So they were a mixture of undergrad and graduate, because back then you could play as many seasons as you wanted. So if you went to school in one place and graduated and then went to graduate school, you could continue playing football. And some of these guys did that.
That's amazing. And this has won countless awards. You can see it all by going to Sewanee1899.org. You can see the awards. You can see everything that's kind of been awarded to the book and the documentary as well. What kind of led you down this path? I know you went to Sewanee. You studied there. Clearly, it's close to your heart. How'd you kind of stumble upon this story more than anything else, though? Is it kind of tale told around the community there at Sewanee? What was it that kind of started you on this journey?
Yes, I think within 24 hours of getting on campus, somebody starts talking about that team. It's just a part of the legend of Sewanee. There were posters that were put out by U.S. Steel years ago, which said they played 5 games in 6 days. On the 7th, they rested Although, as in our film, Phil Savage says they didn't actually rest. They played 3 more games after that. But I had known the story. I actually, believe it or not, pitched it to ESPN, and they didn't seem interested. And I was talking to a classmate of mine at Sewanee, David Cruz, who lives in Oxford, Mississippi, and he had done another documentary. And I said, David, why don't you do one on this team? And he said, hey, that's a great idea. You help me. Well, I thought he meant he would do it, and I'd kind of watch and learn on this one. I quickly got sucked into a 5-year project, but it was a labor of love.
Norman Jetmanson, author of Unrivaled, joining us in studio now. After doing your research on this and the information you came about people you talked to, did you find that this team was responsible for things being changed? Because now we see where somebody figures something out, they change a rule, and we're not going to let you do that anymore. It just feels like if a team was this dominant, a lot of, like you mentioned, reaching over, grabbing the center, trying to make him jump off sides, like there would be multiple things that followed of, all right, we're not going to let guys do that anymore, not going to be able to do that anymore, have to do this way. Was that team responsible for a lot of differences in how college football acted after them?
Yes, I think it was. Sewanee played Auburn that year, and Auburn was the only team to score on them. Auburn's coach was John Heisman, and he was a vocal proponent of the forward pass because he thought it would make the game safer and more exciting. So we're talking about a team in 1899. In 1905, Teddy Roosevelt has a meeting in the White House where he says, you've got a great game, but you got to clean it up or we're going to have to abolish it. And that led to the precursor of the NCAA and a lot of reforms, including that. I'll say this as well. What Sewanee did that year that is now commonplace is they showed that teams in the South could travel all over the South and play a lot more than 2 or 3 games a year. And that was one of their biggest contributions, is opening up the idea that you could have all these rivalries all over the South and not just play a few games a year.
Finally, for me, as you kind of look at Sewanee, and at the time they were involved in the SEC. I believe were they in the SEC at one point?
They were a founding member.
They were a founding member, right? And they no longer obviously were, but there is a bylaw written in there. I don't know if the SEC wants you to know that you can rejoin the SEC if you were a founding member at any point.
That's right.
Are you trying to kind of rally the troops here, maybe put the NIL collective together and get Sewanee going?
Well, my friend Mark Webb, who was the athletic director when we did the film, I actually asked him that question one day, and he looked at me and said, it ain't going to happen.
It'd be worth a try, though. I mean, I think you might have to. What's the enrollment at Sewanee now?
It's about 1,700, so it's still a very small school. I'll tell you this anecdote, though. Mark did get a call from the Auburn athletic director years ago who said, Auburn has a losing record against Sewanee, and we want to come back and play you one more time.
Can't blame him. Norman Jetmanson, author of Unrivaled, with us in studio. Tell our listeners where they can get the book if they'd like to find a copy for themselves.
Yes, if you go to our website, Sewanee1899.org, Sewanee, you can order a book there. There's an email on there. If you email it, we'll take care of you. You can also get a DVD of our film online or stream it from our website as well.
Is there anywhere else you can stream it? I know you were at one point on Delta Airlines.
Yeah, we're off of Delta now. I'm trying to get them back on for the fall, but you can go to PBS Passport and stream the film out of that.
Wonderful. Very cool. And the DVD is available on the website also, Sewanee1899.org. Norman, we appreciate you hopping in studio with us, taking some time. Just some really cool college football history here that I don't know if a lot of folks are aware of, but definitely should be.
Absolutely. And one final thing, think about this. One of my former law partners is interviewed in our film. His father, not his grandfather, because my partner's still living today, he's in his mid-90s. His father played on the 1893 Alabama football team, and he was a running back, and they talk about rules. They tied things onto his pants so the lineman could pick him up and throw him over the line of scrimmage to get extra yards. So think about a man living today whose father was on an 1893 football team.
That's pretty insane.
That is amazing.
Insane to think about.
Absolutely amazing.
So, we appreciate the time. Thanks for hopping in, and we appreciate all the information on the book, too. It's very cool.
I appreciate it very much.
There you go. Norman Jetmanson, author of 1899, or Unrivaled, story of the 1899 Sewanee football team. Back with more next right here on Mac and Cube in the morning. Welcome back in McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Great conversation with Norman Jepson on his book, Unrivaled, story of the 1899 Sewanee football team. And one thing pretty cool looking at that team, a lot of players from Alabama. Ringland F. Rex Kilpatrick from Bridgeport. Henry Diddy, not that one, Siebels from Montgomery, a member of that football team. So they had a couple dudes from Alabama on that team, and then just some of the scores are complete insanity.
I mean, dude, the fact that one team, they allowed 10 points in 12 games.
Yeah.
How about playing 5 games in 6 days?
You know, probably test your will there just a little bit.
All right, hear me out for a second. Hugh, Miller, Thompson, Bunny, Pierce.
By the way, those 10 points were scored by one team.
Yeah, Auburn. Why are you guys so good on offense?
Juggernaut. At
Bunny,
Riverside Park in Montgomery, by the way.
Bunny Pierce played end. I don't know.
I was like edge rusher.
Sounds like an edge rusher to
Right.
me. Sounds like a guy that plays the edge.
Quick twitch.
Definitely not rusher, because what would you be rushing? The forward pass is illegal.
So you said
Rushing the running back.
Gotcha.
Run
stopper.
Not the passer.
5'3", 125.
And he played end.
And
Quick twitch.
coach on the field.
But
Gotta
he'd lunch your ass, though.
There was a bunch of those.
How about lunching?
Incredible.
That was
Not
wild.
launching.
Incredible.
Lunching, where you bite players. That was that's what you did.
We can bring that back.
Face mask going to make it tough.
Yeah, but we'll find a way around it. Here are your nicknames for the team. Wild Bill, Deacon, Bunny, you just mentioned. The Caboose,
Oh yeah.
Bartlett, et Ultimus, the Caboose, Sims. From Bryan, Texas.
Wild Bill.
Rex, Diddy, Warbler, all nicknames on this football team. Which, by the way, you probably didn't have a ton of dudes on the team.
No, 21 guys. In a class of 126, 21 of them played football.
Hey.
That's what I'm talking about. That's
the
football
grind.
school there. And most of them were medical degrees, probably for good reason, because you can't come off the field. If you come off the field, you're out for the game. So just have a guy out there, hey, my elbow's dislocated. Can you just pop this thing in real quick?
Got to get it
Gotta
going.
have a couple pre-meds in there.
Can you imagine the amount of fights? Like I don't think there probably was a locker room, but just around wherever they lived and on campus, you can just imagine.
Well,
just mayhem.
It's also super interesting when you hear this was 35 years removed from the Civil War, 34 years removed. So they're a generation or two removed. So like this was their way of proving their manliness, right? Like going and their grandfathers and fathers fought in the Civil War. And these guys are feeling like this is how I prove to my dad and my grandfather that I am also equal. That's insane.
Yeah. Orman.
Makes sense, though.
Orman Simpkins, fullback from Corsicana, Texas, 5'10", 163.
At fullback.
According to Wikipedia, Orman was the son of William Stewart Simpkins, who is believed to have fired the first shot of the Civil War.
Dang.
It's a heck of a story.
You talk about the homes. Do you think these dudes were raised tough?
Oh. You got a guy 6'1", 185 at 18, Rex Kilpatrick. Think about how big a beast that dude was. 6'1", 185 in 1899.
I think he was the heaviest kid on the team, too.
No, you had 6'1", 190. Wild Bill
That's
Claiborne.
right, Wild Bill. Yeah. Guard.
From Virginia.
But went to Roanoke College as his prep school. So he was the first ever JUCO transfer.
I love
successful in college football.
Can we just talk about this nickname? Bartlett, I know you said it. Et Ultimus. Ultimus. I like
Caboose.
that one. Caboose.
Which is kind of hilarious because, our youngest is going to kindergarten this year. And my wife referenced him as the Caboose the other day, and it didn't really hit me until I was like, oh, like the last one. I get it now. But that's a pretty sweet nickname.
That's a great nickname.
Kind of doesn't really work for a fullback because fullback usually first. But
it's true.
Either way,
times are different.
It just kind of works. It works.
You also have this. Take this, Ryan Williams. Harris Goodwin Cope, quarterback. Savannah, Georgia. 117 pounds, 16 years old. Ryan Williams was 17. See?
That is true.
See?
How many broadcasts do you think mentioned that?
How many broadcasts in the day?
All of them?
Did they have radio back then?
It's like a silent film.
But can he do 10 consecutive backflips on a trampoline?
Oh,
That's what I need to know.
You know.
Because that's the only way you can play DB
Play
and be
DB.
good.
Yes, heard that.
I just didn't feel like that was as cool as it was made out to be. The Jox kickoff party will be, though, Damien. Tell the folks how they can attend it.
All they have to do is text in the keyword, which is win, and your full name to 205-834-9450. The keyword win and your full name to 205-834-9450 for your chance to win tickets for our Bill Smith Buick GMC Jox kickoff party at Regents Field on Thursday, August 21st. And the only way to do so is by winning tickets. So the keyword is win, your full name at 205-834-9450. Winners are drawn daily and notified. For more information, visit joxfm.com.
All right, we'll get you a bad box score of the week and potentially Super Sofa game of the week next on Mac and Cube in the morning. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Friday, August 1st, right here on Jox 94.5.
Crocker Movers is a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys. You can trust them in your home. Whether you need your whole home packed up move, your company headquarters moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room, these guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you've purchased and need to get to your home. So visit them online today for a free quote. The website's crockermoversfirst.com. It's crockermoversfirst.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Movers for your next move.
Justin Pace tweets in, so if original members of SEC can rejoin, why doesn't Tulane and Georgia Tech just do it? I don't know the parameters around it.
Well, they can, but I'm sure there's some type of... Well, first of all, Georgia Tech already has granted rights with ACC. And secondly, I believe there's probably some type of hurdle. However, in the bylaws...
There's an obstacle.
There is an obstacle. Of course there is. But in the bylaws, I believe, like back in the day, it said if any of the founding members want to join the SEC at one point, they can.
All right, quickly, a Super Sofa game of the week for the weekend. If you could only watch one, brought to you by TD's Fine Furniture. Why not Friday Night Football? Tonight.
Elf.
Nope.
Oh,
no Elf.
bye week.
It's off week.
Yeah.
For the whole league. It's a bummer. But you got Toronto, Winnipeg tonight, CFL action, 7:30 on
TSN.
Yeah, but I don't know where that is. CFL Plus, you can go online and get it, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll try to find it.
That sounds like a good play.
It's football.
Are there any other games?
It's live tackle football. Tomorrow you got Hamilton at Edmonton.
I'll take that one.
That's 2:00.
Eskimos
on
against
Saturday.
Tiger Cats.
And then Saskatchewan at Montreal, 6:00.
Montreal.
So you got double header on Saturday of CFL football. Appreciate Jake Rowe, John Cohen, Adam Smith, Norman Jetmanson. Go get the podcast at joxfm.com. 3-Man Front is next.